All right, thanks everybody. It is by my car clock 5:03. I apologize for being in a car for this meeting, but it was unavoidable. And I appreciate everybody attending on a nice summer day. So we'll call the meeting to order, virtual gavel. That being said, we'll start off with our typical entry points. Any public input, any public commentary this time? I don't see, and not that I can really see much here, but
I don't see anyone actually asking you that.
Okay. Yeah, I think Noel just sent a message. Give me. If someone on school committee, if you're seeing Noel's text, if someone could actually just tell her to log in with her town account, that's probably the issue. Okay. So why don't we, no student report at this time, and then Dr. Daly, you were mentioning go to core measurements to go to new business after that. Go to new business first.
I was suggesting that. I don't see Amy on the call. Amy, are you on the call at all? So maybe we'll just go to the high school handbook updates.
That'd be great. That would be great. Yeah. So the North Reading High School handbook updates. Dr. Meyer. You're on mute. I can't see much, but I can see that.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me now?
You're good.
We can hear you.
Sorry about that. It's been a while since I've done virtual.
All good.
So thank you all for accepting our work on the handbook to come present it today. We really appreciate your time and any thoughts that you might have once we're done presenting. So to start off, we have the editing record here for the handbook work that we did over this past year. We did work with our school council on a lot of it, the attendance policy, the discipline, and other pieces. So hopefully you'll like what we all worked on. We had students on the committee as well as parents, so it was a really nice committee that we had. So the first changes, the first bit is really just minor things that needed to be changed or updated. On page 15, the school closings still had the 90-minute delay schedule in there, so we'd like to replace that, update it with a 2-hour delay schedule, which we'll be continuing to use as we move forward. Also on page 15 under health services, it said, that students had to get a pass, and we have now gone forward with utilizing the online pass system. I didn't write what kind because that may change in the future. So I just would like to continue with the online pass system as we had piloted it this past year, and that the middle school has been using, I think, for 2 years now. On page 16, and then throughout the rest of the document, we first noticed it in the school counseling section. It just said she, he, his, her, and we'd like to include the they, their pronouns so that we're making sure that we encompass everybody. And then on page 18, under graduation requirements, that was just a simple title change. It's no longer fitness, it's now lifelong fitness. So we just wanted to keep that updated. Then on page 20 and throughout the entire rest of the document, we just wanted to make sure that we updated the year. So that is 26-27. And then on page 20, also under the mid-year and final exam section, we'd like to include the statement that you see on the far right of the document that North Reading High School does not allow mid-year or final exams to be taken outside of the regularly scheduled times unless there are extenuating circumstances as approved by an attendance panel. The attendance panel, I'll explain a little bit more later on when we go through attendance, but that is something new that we'll be implementing moving forward, hopefully with your approval. But this year we noticed that we had, I think, 23 students who requested to take exams outside of the exam period. And it got really cumbersome, not only for the teachers, but for us to keep track of everything and why. And so we figured, since the schedule for the school year is published so early, that people can really reflect on when they take vacations and things like that. On page 21, under the final exam exemption criteria, we just wanted to add that if you don't take the AP exam, regardless of what the reason is, you will not receive AP credit for the course. You'll receive honors credit. We wanted to adhere to that because the kids who sign up, they sign a contract that says that they'll take the AP exam, and it is part of the rigor of that course. And so we want to uphold that. If for any reason a student chooses not to take it, then honors credit would be allotted. We also wanted to talk about the senior exam schedule as it currently stood, or when I first came in, it reflected 2 exam periods and 2 class periods. For the first day, there was a lot of feedback from students and parents and teachers that that's really cumbersome for the entire school community. And so just to make it the 4 days of 2 exams each. So seniors don't come in 4 classes that first day and then start taking exams right on the same day. Then on pages 22 to 23, that is a document that Mr. Rosa worked on with his school counseling colleagues in regard to updating information about outside courses. And so we'll be going through that in a moment, more in detail. And then pages 51 and 52 of our old handbook is the discipline section. That's all that it was. And there again, we as a school council talked about how kind of old, antiquated it was. They had 29 reasons for suspension and nothing else really to talk about in there. And so we, Mrs. Alonso worked, spearheaded that, really looking at other districts and what they've been utilizing. And we came up with a very different system that is also including restorative practices, which I think is very important. And so that will be the discipline piece that Mrs. Alonso will go over. And then pages 53 to 56 of the current handbook had to do with attendance. And we pretty much revamped that so that it's less wordy and it's more clear. People on school council identified that some of our stuff was a little antiquated there as well and too wordy, and so kind of simplify things. So we have an edited version to go through for that as well. So I don't know if you would like to start off with the outside courses from Mr. Rosa. He had spearheaded, as you all know, we had different committees that worked on different things identified through NEASC. And so part of that was grading and credit recovery. Mr. Rosa took over with his colleagues the credit recovery portion of the handbook, which was great. And so there they talk about a student who's earned a failing grade between 50 and 59 can take a course outside of North Reading High School for the purposes of credit recovery. The credit will only be awarded if a student gets a 70 or better. And the reason for that is because we can't, Mr. Rosa and I can look through what it says about what the course will entail, but we can't monitor that, right? So we figure in order to make sure it's at least somewhat in compliance with what we expect in our building, the 70 or better would be required for the credit recovery course in order to get credit for it. So, and then the North Reading High School course in which the student earned a failing grade, that stays on the transcript. The credit recovery course gets added to it, but it doesn't get calculated into the GPA. Let's see, so here are other stipulations. That they have to stay in the course for an entire year. They can't just drop out of a course if they're failing, like first semester, and I'm going to drop out and take it through credit recovery. We don't want to have that happen. They have to complete the course and get, as I said, the 50 to a 59. They can take these students can take the class at North Reading High School if they prefer to do that. We just wanted to have an option for them so that they don't have to take, like if they fail a math class, let's say, they don't have to do 2 math classes the next year. They can take one over the summer, you know, as long as they've been in attendance in the course, to get the pieces that they have been missing that were identified, and then can move on in their studies. If you have a 49 or less, you do have to take it at the high school if it's a specified graduation requirement. So we also wanted to make sure that students couldn't take more than 6 credit recovery courses during the high school years, because we already have built in several classes each year that students can fail, so to speak, and still move on to the next grade level. So to make sure that we keep the integrity of our diploma, we wanted to make sure that they can take up to 6, because a lot of times we'll see that students really struggle freshman year. So if you take 2 or 3 freshman year and you still fail one later on in the, you're not lost, so to speak. You can still keep up with the curriculum and our graduation requirements. If there is a student wishing to take a credit recovery course that's outside of North Reading High School, Mr. Rosa will have an approval form that he then will give to the student. They have to get signatures, and then we sign off on that if we agree to it, if we approve the course. I think that was pretty much it for the credit recovery section. Oh, right, competency determination. So if a student fails one of the 4 courses, core courses in freshman or sophomore year, they will have to take our competency determination because all of our students do. And as I said, we don't know what the exams look like in other districts, what the CD looks like. And so we want to make sure that they meet our expectations. So if they get the partially meets expectations, which is where we stand currently, or above, then they can, they will be determined as competent in that course. And the costs associated with the credit recovery courses are the responsibility of the student and or the family, which is very similar to all the districts around us. Here, because we're implementing semester courses now this year for the first time, we're very excited. Thank you again for approving that. If students want to change second semester courses, they also have to do that at the beginning of the school year. What we're trying to avoid is having students who take a semester course first semester be like, oh my God, that was like the best class ever. You have to drop the class that you're signed up for and get into that second semester. So if we're offering it, so we're trying to avoid that from happening. So that's why we want it to be as if they were signing up for a full year class. So all the classes have to be signed up for in the beginning of the school year. For AP classes, we have this in our program of studies, so we wanted to reflect it also in the student handbook in case anyone missed it in the program of studies. And so request to withdraw from an AP course has to happen within the first 14 days of the school year. And they have to get a request to change AP course enrollment form from the school counseling office, and then have various people sign off on that. Then Mr. Rosa had asked that if there are course changes at the same level, so if you're in a CP class and you want to change into another CP class, that's not allowed after the noted time period, which is the first 14 days of the school year also. So I don't think that was in our old handbook, and he had asked that that be included in the current handbook. Again, that is reflective of different issues that they had noted when they were signing students up for classes or kids who are trying to withdraw and get into other classes. And it also goes along with what other districts who are like us are doing.
Mr. Friedman, I don't know if it's helpful to just
That's it for that part.
do we take a few questions on these as we go, or do we present them
Just
all?
if it's a semester course, you know, you have to finish the semester course. If it's a year-long class, you have to at least go through the conclusion of a term. So you can't just leave in the middle of a term. You have to finish that term so that the grade goes along with you when you go into another course.
So why don't I have a forced pause here just for a second?
Are there any questions about all of that yet?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jeff. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So I definitely have a few questions, but they probably go back a couple minutes. But I'll start off. The question I
Okay,
have
so
first
that
is,
takes care of Mr. Rosa's section.
I don't
Yep.
think she can hear me.
Yeah. All right. So I'll let Miriam know. But yeah, I think we should take questions as we
I
go.
think then,
If we can,
so
that'd be
for
good. But
the mid-year and final exams, that was just the one paragraph section in the handbook, and that's where we were saying that wouldn't allow them outside of the regularly scheduled times. The next major section that was changed was the discipline. So I would turn that over to Mrs. Alonso to speak on our behalf for the changes that were made there with our school council.
Okay.
I will stop to let you guys ask your questions. I did
Thank you.
text Dr. Meyer and tell her to turn her volume up.
She might just have her volume down.
yeah,
So
it's all good. It's all good. So my first question, I'll go to the AP portion of it. What was mentioned was that the student had to take the test in order to get AP credit. If you don't take the test, you get honors credit. I get that. Is there a requirement for any specific score to also get credit? I know that's different than a college giving college level credit for it. But let's assume student takes the test, student gets like a 2 or a 1 or something relatively low. Would that matter in terms of getting credit for the course?
no.
No, if they get a 1 or a 2, they still get credit for the course.
Okay. No,
Yep.
that's fine. I agree with that. I just didn't know if that was
Yeah.
part of it. Would it be possible to go back to the spreadsheet that had the summary? Because
Yes. I can go back to that. Yep.
because I saw it on my tiny little screen and I had a question and I can't remember what it was.
Okay.
Can you scroll up? Yeah, there you go. Closings. Oh, the online pass system. This is just my ignorance. If the students don't have their phone with them and aren't online, how do they do a pass?
So it's set up through the Chromebooks, which is how we did it
Okay.
this year. Yep.
Okay.
So that's how the whole system was set up. It's also
Okay.
how it's set up at the middle school. So we're just continuing with that.
Yeah. No, that's great.
I won't need the phones.
Yeah, no, we want to get rid of the phones.
Yes, we do. I totally agree with you.
No, that's great. That's great. I didn't have any more immediate questions. I don't know if others did, or others had any comments or questions. If
Okay.
someone does, you might be on mute.
I don't see anyone. So I'm just going to shift to the mid-year final. This is pretty much already explained, but I'll just leave it up there in case there's any questions about this one.
Oh, I do have one other question, actually. When we were talking about grade recovery, and I think you spoke about it in terms of you need a 70 or better to get to basically get a competency determination. I assume what that's headed toward is really graduation requirements as well, that you must be deemed competent in core studies in order to be eligible for graduation. I assume that's what that's in reference to.
Correct.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, we had that's actually not really a change. I think the language before just said C or better.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we just updated that to say, so essentially we're saying if you're going to take this outside course, it still needs to be at a high level in order to be transferred in.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And the other reason I'm mentioning it is also just to highlight for anybody who's listening that graduation requirements are different than what we've had. You know, it's we're living in a slightly different world when it comes to this stuff, and therefore it heightens the importance of these sorts of policies. So,
Right.
no, I appreciate it. Okay, that was all for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions on this next one, which was just the policy related to the mid-year finals? The only change is just this reminder to everyone here at the bottom that You got to take the finals during the final periods.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, unless there are extraordinary circumstances,
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely.
All
And
right.
then those cases would be brought forward to the attendance panel.
Yep.
All right. I will bring this to the discipline, which is, I think Ms. Alonso is going to walk us through.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, everybody. So we had a lot of changes with the discipline, as Dr. Meyer alluded to before, because we had a punitive list of you do this, you do A and you get B. You do C, you get D. And there's no real place for the students to be able to learn from their mistakes and to build the relationship with the staff members. So we made a few changes. By a few, I mean the entire thing. So if you wanted to, I'm sure you guys got this ahead of time. Oh, I'm trying to move it up. But so it does state something that we hadn't stated before about staff jurisdiction, which means that anybody can, all of the staff is in charge of you and your safety during the school day, and you are expected to listen and cooperate. And then these are not, the bullets are, they're not something that is unreasonable. We're going to remain in class. We're going to have reasonable requests. We're going to have a pass. I did put smart pass, so I can change that later to online pass system. Use appropriate language, remain in the building, submit your own academic work, which I believe we have Mrs. Segroy at some point talking about digital AI and all of that stuff coming up. So it kind of lends itself to that. So when we give a teacher, when the teachers give a detention, they will notify the parent and arrange the time for that between the student and the teacher. So we have some restorative practices in here, which we were trending towards, but now we are more going to more effectively be able to put them in through the new system. And an office detention is different than a teacher detention because it's given by an administrator and happens outside of the teacher classroom. So those are 40 minutes long after school, Monday through Thursday. Extenuating circumstances could get them a lunch detention. We have some students who really cannot stay after school they take care of their little siblings or something. So we would make arrangements at a different time for that at the administration's discretion. Saturday detention is something new that's going to be happening. And that's the progressive part of the discipline. Normally it would go from you skipped your detention, you get another one, and now you get suspended. Now we have an in-between. That the student will be assigned a Saturday detention. It's for 2 hours or 4 hours, and it will be once a month. Probably it will be me or Dr. Meyer there. So everybody will be so excited to spend some Saturday time with us. And as a person who may or may not have served a Saturday detention, it really works. Then we have some external.
Please tell me you forced them to watch Breakfast Club during that.
No, I got the detention. And I had to clean the cafeteria.
Oof.
And it was the man, Mr. Hain, whose job I took, who gave it to me, just so everybody knows.
Fair enough.
And I didn't get just one, I got two because I did two things wrong. So it's fine. I learned.
And for those on the call that don't understand my pop culture reference, please feel free to watch the movie. Don't think I'm endorsing it, but you'll understand what I mean.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like that. That would have been great.
That movie did not age well, by the way.
No, it didn't. So external suspensions, those are the ones who, they can't come to school because something they did was so egregious that they've lost their time in school. When they are suspended, they are allowed to make up any work and stay current in their in their academics, but they are not allowed to participate in anything that has to do with the school, including coming to watch a football game or participating in maskers or, homecoming or whatever is school sponsored. They are not allowed to participate. That's not really a change. That's just, we kept that in there as well. If the suspension occurs on the last day of the week, you can't practice for or participate in any extracurricular activity, including athletics and performances over the weekend. So if you get in trouble on a Friday, you're no good for the whole weekend. If you get suspended for a Thursday, you're back on Friday, you're fine for the weekend. So we don't really have too many instances like that. So we don't worry too much about it. This really, the next part, the levels of accountable consequences and restorative interventions, is really the big change that we have. We have different tiers now that we're going to try to follow. And if you do compare it to what we used to have, you'll see that this is a real improvement. We have 3 tiers and 5 levels. Levels 1 and 2 mostly are taken care of by level 1 is taken care of by the teacher. Level 2 is also taken care of by the teacher, and administration gets involved, but we're not going because Sally gets up to sharpen her pencil 4 times. We're not going to go to the classroom and take Sally out of the classroom. That's what we mean by no administrative removal. We're going to help the teacher and Sally restore this and move forward from it. And so then level 2 is, that behavior repeated and repeated. Still, the student's going to remain in class, and they can have a referral to the main office for us to become more involved.
And that's where the parents get involved as well.
And then if you could scroll a little bit, Dr. Daly, that'd be great. So level 3, obviously the referral submission, it's been building too. So this is not like the first time. And then we would have a conference, maybe a Saturday detention, phone calls, interventions, all of that stuff. Level 4 is repeated high impact behavior, and it's OSS means out of school suspension. And so it's trending towards that, perhaps. And then if you want to scroll down or up a little bit more, this now starts to talk about things that are immediate administrative interventions or involvement, at least, because they are above and beyond typical classroom infractions. Well, not all of them, but it gets to that. So again, when the SIS is our student infraction system or student
Information system.
System. Yeah.
We know it as Rediker, but in case we ever change that, we didn't want to have to come back and change the language. So a procedural violation is, again, that's a classroom issue, and we wouldn't put it in our formal database for that. The teacher could put it in some sort of data tracking thing that they have, but we would not do that. And then if we keep going down through, you'll see how the X's start to move to the right. And that's when the further right they are, the closer they're getting to my office, I guess we could say. And so they have a different set of consequences. Does anybody have any questions so far?
So you'll notice as you scroll through the matrix that it's really different categories of behaviors. So you have verbal aggression is different than physical aggression, and the classroom behaviors are different from all of that. And then if a student is involved with drugs or anything like that, so we kind of categorize them. Again, this is a system that I had used in a previous district. Lexington has also been using it. A number of districts have kind of moved toward this more matrixy kind of work in regard to discipline. Also because it involves the restorative piece, which Mrs. Alonso alluded to, is very important because it's about relationship building with our students. And so if they engage in a behavior that's not appropriate, then having a conversation with whoever else was involved, adult-wise, it's working with the student and that adult on, okay, how can we restore the relationship so it doesn't happen again in the classroom or it doesn't happen again in the school?
So I have a quick question, and it's just how my brain orders things.
Yeah.
Was I right in thinking, and again, I'm looking at a tiny little screen here in a moving car, they're classes and levels. Is that the two things?
Yes.
So I'm going to ask a question, and you can feel free to just push me away. Since all of this deals with levels, why do we need classes? Like, how do classes, what is the purpose of having a class if everything else is delineated by level? Or does a class matter, or it doesn't really matter to me whether we use that or not? It just seemed odd that we have so much dealing with levels when it's really, or tiers. Yeah, it's sort of that green.
Yeah, the red, green. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the different tiers because the behaviors do fall into the different tiers. And so the different categories that we broke those tiers into kind of identify what kind of interventions or what kind of support is going to take place at that level.
Fair enough.
And some kids, we may, even if we added language in there, that there might be some behaviors that it looks like it's an immediate, it's a level 3 or level 4, which is automatic suspension. We may do something different. So we have language in there that this is not hard and fast, so to speak, that it is case specific, but generally speaking, these are the different actions that will take place depending what tier you fall into. And then for the levels, what that looks like. Does that help?
Yeah, fair enough. No, that's fair.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Look, overall, this is certainly, from my perspective, as being on school committee, this is exactly your domain, not something I feel like I'm any level of expert on, nor should I be. But I just at a high level, we've been talking about restorative practices at both the middle school, now the high school as well. I think that's a wonderful practice, and I'm glad it's being codified into the handbook and into this section. And look, this is an area that is the most likely area to become, I don't know how to phrase it, archaic quickly. It's the area where to Ms. Alonso's funny comment, but true, I remember back as well. Not that I was involved in that, but it's more just to say we all remember back to what it was like when we were in school X number of decades ago.
Yeah.
And it's very different, and there's so much more information out there, and I'm glad that we are keeping this more current, and I'm glad that you guys are on top of it. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm appreciative of what you're doing. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. As I said, we had a great committee. The school council was awesome, the parents and the students who were part of it, and teachers. So we had all people involved, which was really nice. So we got different perspectives from everybody.
So I'll ask one more thing. Was there, I guess I'll ask so the counter question. Did anybody push back? And if so, what was the area of pushback? Or did most people say like, yeah, this is needed?
Yeah, everyone who had looked at the old handbook was kind of chuckling like, oh, yeah. Snowballs will get you suspended. All right.
Yeah.
Were laughing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, you get suspended if you murder somebody. That was also in there. Like, that's what we're talking about. And it wasn't written in the handbook. It was it's in our informational system.
Actual
So-
murder, or is it like accused of murder? Because, you know,
No. Apparently, you've got to really have done it.
indicted or actually.
You know, like kidnapping
Fair
was in
enough.
there. Yeah, it was an odd thing. So the kids were cracking up and like a little surprised that, you know, things would happen. But they did push back more on the attendance stuff, and which was great because it made us have to think about it and explain it in a way that from our point of view, and we got to hear what they thought from their point of view. And Mrs. Lewis pushed back nicely on it as a parent too. So it was a really great year to spend with them.
It was. And the teachers were great too, who took part on the committee, because they gave their perspective as well. So it was nice for the students and the teachers to hear and the parents to all hear each other's perspectives.
That's awesome. And that's process means a lot, and that's great.
Yeah.
We achieved a great result from a great process. That's great.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions, comments?
Could we just take a look at the detention paragraph again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. I just got booted off. Just give me 1 second to get it back up there.
And the question was, while I was bringing up, the question was just related to, as we went through it pretty quick. You mentioned Barry Ann about, you know, if they have to take care of a sibling at home, then we'll do a lunch. What are the specific reasons that we would offer a lunch detention versus after school? And really where I'm getting to is, do we allow for lunch detention for like if there's an athletic event or a performing arts event, or too bad you're going to detention after school?
Mm-hmm. So I was actually just talking to a coach today about this, and I was saying, you know, we're not going to allow them if they have practice and the bus leaves at 3:30 and they have detention until 3:45. They don't get to ride the bus. That doesn't mean they can't go to the game. They have to have their parent pick them up and get to the game. We're not doing a double whammy on them. They can go to the game. It's just how they get there. We're not going to be. We were very nice, and we're going to be a little bit more firm so that they understand the importance. Because if you're getting a detention, it's because we would like you to learn something. And if you start to impact their life after school, then they go, whoa, that might not be the most fun. So we're not going to not allow them to participate in the game if they get a detention on game day. But if they're taking the bus, then they would have to have their parent drive them there, and they can't drive themselves.
I don't know. I'm happy to hear that, because those are the exceptions I was concerned of. I understand if they have a hardship or they have to watch a sibling, or there's a family issue that prevents that from happening. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But I completely agree in the consequences of what you're talking about. And okay, thank you.
And we also have some students who take the special education bus transportation home. And so that's timed, and it's for reasons that they need it. So we wouldn't take it from them.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So then the last section that we have has to do with attendance. There we had a lot of changes as well. There was, the team had identified that it was quite cumbersome to get through the attendance pieces in the handbook. And so, a lot of the kids were like, we don't even read it because it's too long. It's like, it doesn't even make sense. You're saying the same thing 5 times. They're not saying it. So anyway, so we started working on all of that. So the old attendance was on page 53. So what we did was, I think that one, can we do that one later? So can we start with absence? Because there we have the definitions first. Yep. So what we tried to do is kind of make it so that it makes sense. Where we started off with absences, we actually defined things which all parties had kind of said was missing in our policy. Yeah. Okay. So, so we just clarified the statement of intent. That statement wasn't in there before. We kept what was up above. What we added was, I can't see it in green, sorry. Yeah, so.
That's the language from the school committee policy update we're going to approve later from MGL. So
Okay, perfect.
it covers the dropout prevention, and then it gets into your definitions.
Then into our definition. So what we would like to do differently is, right now, what we have are excused absence, absence excused, or absence unexcused. What we would like to do is include absence verified, because there were a lot of questions from different constituents about, okay, well, my parent called in, so like, how come that's unexcused? Well, because it doesn't fall into the category of, you were in court, you were on a college visit, you have a doctor's note, a dentist's note, things like that. Those are excused. And so it's great that a parent is calling in. We very much appreciate that. But if there's no other documentation, then it goes in as absence verified. The absence verified is administratively logged as an unexcused absence. So that's what it will count toward, but it will make a differentiation between what really is excused and then just having a parent call in without the official documentation for anything else. So after those definitions, we then again just explained that all unexcused and verified absences count toward the total accrual for absences. Then can you keep scrolling, please? What we did was, and this was in our handbook, but what was not in the handbook had to do with what would be happening as an intervention. So for full year courses, DESE says 18 or more classes because it's 10% of the school year. So anything above 18 classes in a full year course doesn't receive credit. For semester courses, since it's half a year, it's greater than 9 classes. You may receive no credit. We say may because we have an intervention that we're going to be implementing. We'd like to implement this year. So next we go through, letters will be mailed home. We did it in thirds. So the first letter for a full year course goes home after 6 absences. Then we'll do it at 10, then we'll do it at 15. Those are all warning letters that you're accruing absences that may lead to loss of credit in your courses. And so once you hit 18, you get a different letter. That's your final warning letter that says, okay, we are now where if you're absent one more time, 19 or above, then you will result in the loss of credit. So that's a different kind of letter that's then sent home as opposed to the 3 prior warning letters. For semester classes, again, we did it in thirds. So the first time you would get a warning letter is at 3 times. Then you'll get another at 6, and then at 9 absences, you get it's going to end up anything more than 9 will result in a loss of credit. So if a student loses credit in a course for attendance reasons, but they've earned a passing grade, they're not required to repeat the course, but that could impact your graduation requirements. So like there might be a student who has been absent out of an elective course, but they've already taken enough elective courses in that area that they don't need it. So they don't have to make it up. So that's why we have that paragraph in there.
Could I stop you there for just a second?
Mm-hmm.
So a student could miss enough classes for a specific class to qualify as basically over the limit.
Yeah.
But also get a passing grade because they've taken the tests and they've achieved competence.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that just, again, I'll go back to my archaic world and say, wouldn't that just be an incomplete then? Or something along those lines?
Yeah, it's a good question. For the incompletes, we use those for students who are out on hospitalization, any kind of medical issues, any mental health reason, anything like that.
More of an excused absence type of thing.
And they get an incomplete, which allows 2 weeks for them, 2 additional weeks beyond the end of the term to get work turned in so that they can get a grade.
Yeah, in this instance, they are unexcused and or verified,
Yeah.
and yet they got, you know, who knows, maybe they were experts in whatever it is anyway, and they got a passing grade, but still went beyond the limit. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would argue too that that should be pretty rare.
Yeah,
The
I would think so.
the experience of sitting in a class, it's more than just passing assessments, right? The
Right.
experience of being in the room, interacting with your peers, the
Discussion.
engagement, the experience of being in a school should, you shouldn't be able to do that. And maybe if the student needs to be challenged more, then that needs to happen, right? So this is really about engaging students in more than just, that seat time matters and your presence matters. That's what we're trying to communicate out.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. When you're in school, you're an integral part of your classroom and the discussions that take place there and the work that's done in groups or alone, all of that. Okay. So
I'll just note as well, none of this is different in terms of the requirements. What's really spelled out here, there are the procedures for holding everyone accountable for it.
Correct.
And with the semester courses rolling out, it's going to be even more timely to make sure we have this right. There was a very few number of semester courses in the past. Now there's so many, and students are going to get to those thresholds pretty quickly. So we want to make sure that they're well prepared to be in class.
right. So the final warning letters go out, and then, so what we are asking is that parents call in if a student is going to be absent and or supply the written documentation. That hasn't changed. It's always been, I think, 8:30, before school starts. Make sure you're bringing in a note if you're going to be out or the reason why you're out yesterday or anything like that. And then, yeah, those are, this is where I talked about, we'd like to create the attendance panel. So it will be consisting of various staff members, and Mrs. Alonso and I will be a part of that as well, and someone from school counseling. And here we have the reasons for absence. Those were already in our handbook. We just put it into a table format so that it's a little bit clearer as opposed to just a paragraph, which is what it was before. So if you keep scrolling. So hospitalization, funeral, those are all excused absences. If there's the note on the extended illness and any absence from school of more than 4 consecutive school days requires a doctor's note to be submitted to the administration. So that actually isn't a change. That was in the handbook. We had just done 5 or more. So we just aligned our wording with the middle school wording. So it's exactly the same. We just figured consistency would be helpful. The next section.
And I'll ask something purely self-serving.
Okay.
Does orthodonture count as doctor?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, entirely self-serving. I apologize for that.
And then the next section has,
So there's a note there, just to note that students are encouraged to schedule appointments outside of the school day, right?
yeah.
Oh, no, I'm with you. I'm with you.
So then we talk about the extracurricular eligibility and punctuality. That was in the old handbook, but wasn't really clear. I think this makes it really clear that you have to be present at least 50% of the time on the day. If there's a game or there's a play or anything like that, you need to be in school. The requirement might be waived for weekend or holiday activities. So when we were talking with Mr. Campobasso, he had said, there are games that take place, and with performing arts, Allison had said, well, there are things that take place during some of our vacations. And so if a kid is sick on the Friday before a vacation, they can't do anything then over break. So that's why we left that statement in there, that it might be waived for weekend or holiday activities. Then in regard to absences and makeup work, we didn't change anything except for, because we're on a green gold schedule, when the student returns to school, regardless of what color day it is, so to speak, they need to get their assignments turned into their teachers. Whether it was so if you're absent on a gold day, and you come in on a green day, you should still be handing things in from the gold day because they are able to access that material, especially with Google Classroom now. So really all we did, we kept everything and just added that, because for some students, they would come in on a green day after being absent for a gold day. And if there was a snow day, then that gold day was gone. So then it was like another 4 days. So they get all that extended time to get work done, which is then not fair to the rest of the students who had to get everything in on time. So we're just trying to maintain equity there. So again, we said regardless of green or gold days. And then absences, we put there like, hey, don't forget to go back to the exam absences paragraph of the handbook. Were there any questions about any of that?
No, this is great. I mean, as you've stated as you've gone along, some of this is just making it more readable.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a lot more readable.
Okay.
But it all makes sense.
Okay. Thank you. And then just like with absences, we went through the tardy and the dismissal section, which is also coming up. And we just put in definitions for everything so people understand clearly what everything will mean. And then we talk about the thresholds and the consequences and what would happen if you are excessively tardy.
So currently, if you wanted to scroll back up, Dr. Daly, the tardies 1 to 3 in the semester under 15 minutes because there's traffic or it snowed and you didn't wake up 10 minutes earlier to shovel yourself out or whatever. Those are forgiven. They are recorded, but they're forgiven. And that is important to note because we still need to have accurate record keeping. It's the 4th tardy that's going to get you, and then everyone after, that's going to get you a consequence. So you do have 3 opportunities to be, a few minutes to school.
Yeah.
Because life happens.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're picking up your friend and she's not ready, then now you're late and that's, not really your own fault. But the 4th tardy, it won't matter if it's tardy verified or tardy unexcused.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, tardy equals unexcused, right? Yeah, I think you said that.
The tardy verified would equal unexcused. So that means.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so verify. Got it. I get it. You can.
It's just like, with,
Yep.
It's just like
Just
with
like absences. Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
We kept it consistent.
Okay.
So that was the tardy piece. And then there was a dismissal piece, I think is the last one.
Yep.
So, and there again, we're just trying to be clearer with our language. So how it impacts extracurriculars and athletic and performing arts. So partial day dismissals, full dismissals, and then college visits, because that has been a question on a consistent basis, is that an approved exception? And those are. So if you're out on a college visit, that's okay. Or if you're leaving to go on a college visit, that's okay.
It's important to note that because the MIAA says 50%, which is for us it's 3.5 hours of a full day. So if you come in at 8:30 and you get dismissed at 10, and you go to the dentist and then you go out to lunch and you don't come back, you cannot participate in the after school activity that you normally would. You have to come back. You have to leave and come back, and it has to add up to 3.5 hours. And that's for, any activity, not just clubs, sports.
Activities. Yep.
And that is something that will be a surprise to some students and families.
But as you mentioned, we're following MIA regs. So were there any?
No, that makes sense. In fact, I think that was what it was when I was in high school.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Friedman, through you, could I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So just to clarify, Dr. Meyer, with the absences, the panel, are you going to make contact home after a set number of absences,
Mhm.
and then the panel would review to see whether any of those are excused? Is that
Mhm.
the idea? Okay, so
Yes.
number.
So sorry. So we schedule, what we will be doing is having the attendance panel meet at the end of every quarter. So that gives families enough time to get documentation if they need to, anything like that. So, and they can sit and review where students are. So the letters will be going home to students and their families at 3, 6, 9 for the semester courses. And then, but it's 6, 10, 15, and 18. Yeah, for the year-long courses.
Okay, so as we look at those letters, I just think it would be important to make sure, and it might be in there already, that there is an opportunity. Like if someone gets a letter after 3 or 4 absences and their kid had the flu and their grandmother died, they're going to say, "What is this letter?" But the idea is that there is an opportunity to review those later.
Yes.
Okay.
There's an application that the families and students will fill out and submit to be reviewed by the attendance panel
Right.
Okay.
that they would initiate. It's in the letter, but they would initiate the actual
The process.
process.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that this is important stuff, so I'm glad we're spending time on it, but I'll extend it for just a little bit. I have one last thing. I assume for a letter for an excused absence, we're looking for a physical letter, not just someone takes a picture of something and then sends it in, just for the point of clarity for people listening.
Yes. So it can be a physical letter, but it can come in through email as well. So some parents scan things into us, so we have it that way, and that's totally okay.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair.
But at least we have then the physical, we can print it up, we have it, put it in the file.
But you don't want like a picture texted into somebody or anything like that, right?
No,
That's where I was going.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Here's my Photoshop letter that I've used sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm good with that.
Awesome.
So I just want to thank Dr. Meyer, who's been working on this all year, and Ms. Alonso, who's been working on this for several years, and was very excited to see some of these changes through, and to really make some improvements based on what they've observed over the last several years. And so it's going to be different. There's a bunch of things. We're going to talk about cell phones in a bit, and there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be different, but I think it's very well thought out, and I think we're well positioned to be flexible with the changes and recognize that this is, we're rolling it out, but we're going to be very proactive in letting people know about these changes. But I wanted to thank them for all their hard work. And Mr. Friedman, Mr. Sutherland has his hand up.
Yeah, thanks. I heard the ping. I didn't know who. Yeah, go Tim.
So I think in that spirit, Dr. Daly, is there, given this and then the policy changes that we're about to discuss, is there a plan to kind of have a summary email to all of the high school students with the high nails of what we've discussed today? Because my eyebrows raised a little bit this afternoon as I was reading through some of it going, oh, this sounds a little bit different. So I think it'd be really good, inclusive of the policy changes that we're about to talk about, to have that summary so parents can say, I didn't know this policy change was in effect, because there's some fairly substantial things coming down here.
Yeah. The plan is to do a letter that will go out to students and families. And then also when we do our grade level meetings right in the beginning of the year, the first 2 days, to review all of that in-house with the students.
And we also have our own documentation and data of the students who are leaning towards being chronically absent every year. And I got a list from the middle school as well. And I'm going to reach out personally to them and invite them in to have a discussion and to talk about what attendance looks like and the impact of it on education, so that we can try to get ahead of it. And I'm hoping to do all of that before school starts. I know people are on vacation, but at least by the October 1st. So the families who we already know are struggling, we want to reach out and be proactive with them.
Yeah, see how we can best support them and their students.
Great. And I know we don't typically have this many changes. I mean, this is a lot of changes to a handbook that's well overdue for some updates. So thank you both for this work. Mr. Friedman, I think just a motion to approve the handbook changes would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we get a motion?
A motion to approve the handbook changes?
Second.
Somebody? There you go. We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. I think
Roll
we've got.
call.
I think yeah, we got to do a roll call.
vote.
All
I had to
those
play
in
Scott
favor
on
will
that
say
one for you,
aye. We'll
Jeff.
yeah. We will do a roll call. So Tim,
Aye.
Noel,
Aye.
Jennifer. Gotta come off mute, Jennifer.
Aye.
There we go. And I thought I saw Julie come on as well. Julie,
Aye.
excellent. And I'm an aye as well. So 5-0.
Great.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
all.
That's a lot of hard work went into this. It's very obvious and apparent. It's not just hard work; it's great work. So thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, Mr. Friedman, would you like to do? We have Amy Luckwitz is here. Do we want to do that one and then come back to the policies, or? Not sure if we lost you there, Jeff.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, why don't we go to core measurements and go to Ms. Lukovitz? And if I mispronounced that, I deeply apologize.
That's okay. You said it half in Polish, half in English.
Yeah. My wife, if she were in the car with me, she would, with her
No
Polish
worries.
cousins, would probably, chastise me.
No problem.
So, go for it.
So,
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Go ahead, Dr. Daly.
do you have the ability to share? Do I need to give you
Well-
some permission there?
Let's see. I think I do. We're going to give this a go. I apologize to everybody. My work computer crashed as I was trying to get on. So I'm going to try my personal. And let's see.
Here we go.
Is that working?
We
see
can
that?
see it. It just
Oh,
it's not
all right. I'll start the slide.
it's not as a show yet. Yep, there you go. Great.
Getting there. As this is processing, I just want to thank everybody for your time. This is the annual end result of what I see you guys typically in the winter about collecting our core measurement data. This is the 10th year. We are in our final year of federal funding of the Drug Free Communities Grant. It has been a wild ride. I'm happy to report that the town is planning on keeping my position aboard. It might look a little different, and it will remain in the police department. So who knows what the future holds, but I'm going to try to advance through these slides. But Dr. Daly, please let me know if it's not working. And I will try that. Let's see. Okay. So I always want to start with some highlights. Again, we offered programs for grades 6th, 7th, and 8th. The 6th graders got a refresher on Detective Lucci's social media presentation that he typically gives in the younger grades. And that definitely ties into Dr. Daly's initiatives related to digital media and social media influence and screen time, cell phone use, and all of that. Grade 7 received some education around marijuana, and grade 8 is a refresher of refusal skills along with alcohol education. This year, we were thrilled to partner with Dr. Daly and Sean Colleen's K-12, and we centered around screenagers. I'm sure you've heard all about that from Dr. Daly. And we helped along with the follow-up of the community read, which received tremendous support of. The adults read The Anxious Generation. There's a companion version called The Parent's Guide to Anxious Generation that we offered. These are all books for free that we were paid for by the coalition. And we also offered the graphic novel to young people, students, called The Amazing Generation. So I received some follow-up emails about that, asking for more copies. That's wonderful. We were able to provide a whole bunch of them also to the Flint Memorial Library for checkout. That's something that Dr. Daly and I discussed about continuing on some sort of campaign around partnering on community reads, and I love working on those. We did increase our face-to-face collaboration with the guidance department. I want to give Jackie Rogers a shout out with that. She was instrumental in inviting both myself and Laura Miranda, our clinician, over to that department more on a regular basis. And she and Gabby Barbuto from the guidance department have both joined the coalition in this past year. I'm going to talk about IDECIDE probably at the end, but I was able to initiate a review of the IDECIDE chemical and fraction diversion program. So I have some information to report back at the end of that. We had increased participation in our survey, which is always important, and all 5th graders completed Catch My Breath. That is something that, despite Detective Lucci moving on from school resource officer programming, that Dr. Daly and I discussed that we will still continue it, onboarding hopefully the new school resource officers. It's probably going to be called something else because we have diverted from the core of that curriculum so much, given that the trends change so much in the world of nicotine that we'll probably end up having to drop the branded name. There is value, in our opinions, I think, to making sure that an officer is right alongside me teaching all of these in-class programs so that they can have an officer in uniform say to them, come to me for help, versus having me in, you know, my jean jacket say, go to an officer for help. It's really, it does matter that we have officers in that role front and center saying that to the kids. I did want to highlight briefly the winners of the peer-to-peer PSA nicotine contest that we have at the end of all of the Catch My Breath. These are the Hood School winners and the Batch School winners and the Little School winners. We tell the kids that we pick 2, but we always end up picking 5. They receive gift cards from Ryer's local business, and they did a tremendous job. All of their work samples are going to be available at National Night Out, which I'll talk about again at the end of the presentation. And then we always make sure that kids who did not win have the opportunity randomly selected so that their work is also on display at National Night Out. The kids can opt into the contest or opt out. So always starting with population sample sizes. I want to remind everybody that our margin of error goal is 5%. We just came a little bit under that in the 12th grade this year, but still 6% is scientifically valid. And our confidence level is always 95% or above, and we've hit that consistently year to year. The last is just a little bit about showing the increase of response rate over the 2025 year, with just 2 grades being down slightly, but again, still valid data, especially in 10th grade had a 3% margin of error. That's quite good, actually. Okay, before I start with this, if you recall in my presentation last year, the 2025 numbers were significantly lower than the year prior. And I remember saying in our presentation, that's an anomaly. We're not sure why there was a huge drop there. I talked to our evaluator. He was unable to kind of uncover that. But I'm going to present 2 sets of data. The first one is including the 2025 numbers, and the second one is excluding the 2025 numbers. And that's because it was an anomaly. And the change between the two.
Let me just break in and verify that, yes, I do remember that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and we were all kind of like, wow, that's. I mean,
No.
I
I fully remember it, and I'm sure others do too. So when we see the reg, we're not freaked out. I get it.
Thank you, Mr. Frieden. Absolutely. We just thought that was so unusual to have a significant drop like that. That's not a common thing. Slight drops and slight increases are common, but that was unusual. So I did want to present 2 sets of data here with the original and including the 25 and then excluding the 2025. So here you see some reds. But if you switch over to eliminating that odd year, you see quite a bit of green. I will also just indicate that 10th grade number is a significant drop, as is the 6th grade number. And then also the increases in grades 7 and 9 related to alcohol use are slight increases. So we're still on track. And again, the bar graph at the bottom is just going to show excluding that number. But I'm going to do that for all of the substances. Here we have marijuana changes related from 2025. But again, without the 2025 numbers, I'm very happy to see this number. Marijuana across the United States is becoming an increased concern related to underage use. And our numbers, the fact that they're going down, and again, in some numbers, significantly, that 11th and 12th grade number, that 10th grade number is really significant. And I'm quite happy to see that. I want to pause here and just mention that the grade, although the students receive 9th and 10th grade marijuana use blended into their health curriculum, I do think it is time that we upgrade our 7th grade curriculum that Detective Lucci and I were presenting. We've selected a curriculum, a science-based curriculum called Johnny's Ambassadors. I've done a ton of research. I've met the executive director several times at our national forums. And they do offer not only free curriculum, science, they offer science-based, and they also offer grade level curriculum. So I think this is the year that I'll talk to Mrs. DeMore about switching that, and we'll fully switch to a more modern approach. The one area that we do differ, and I think this is still important to include, is when we talk to the kids about any of the substances, we show local numbers. The exact data that you're seeing right now is what we showed kids. And that's important. So we don't just say, listen, here's the United States number, here's the Massachusetts number. We show North Reading. And I think that's really important because our kids do have a lower use rate. And I know that sometimes in order to feel like they need to fit in, that self-imposed peer pressure sometimes, it's important to know that it's probably less students are using than the perception. So I do want to just highlight that marijuana aspect and the education change that'll be coming up in the next school year. Prescription drug use, to be clear, this is defined, and we redefined it again, just to clarify for the students. These are prescription drugs not prescribed to you by a doctor. That was really important, that verbiage. And I will say the feds were not really helpful in giving us that verbiage. That was something that Dr. O'Connell and I worked really hard on to make sure that that was an understandable term for the middle schoolers, obviously well up through grade 12. We did have a slight increase. Oh, excuse me. Did I not give you a drug? Oh, maybe I didn't give you the 20. Oh. Well, I'll tell you that I'll have to, I don't miss that one, but without the 2025 numbers. But if you can visually kind of look at it, you can see 6th grade went down, 7th grade went down, 8th grade went up slightly, 9th grade went up slightly, huge drop in 10th grade, huge drop in 11th grade, and a slight increase in 12th grade if we were to eliminate that 2025 number. Vaping is always something that we're going to continue to have a look at, especially as the nicotine industry continues to evolve to nicotine patches and nicotine pouches that I've talked about with this committee many times, and our concerns related to concealable nicotine products and the attraction to young people. So happy to see this number change quite significantly again over 2020, 2024. I would say that 10th grade number is an anomaly as well, just to I want to point that out. That seems like a significant change. So that one was a little caught my attention, even though it's in our favor. That's quite an anomaly too. We also separate tobacco and vape use into 2 separate sets of data. And that is because it's to us 2 different behaviors, but the feds do lump it into 1 set of data. So I just want to point that out. Kind of, oh, maybe I have 2 of the same one. You can just see on the bar below it. I apparently didn't get rid of that slide, but a big drop in 2026. So that was good. Again, that 10th grade number, I'm going to highlight that one as being a little wonky too. So that one caught my eye is unusual. This is the 3rd year that we've collected information on gambling. Little bit of an improvement there in 2026. But 11th and 12th grade, and again, I'm kind of ignoring the 2025 year, 11th and 12th grade use went down. There's definitely going to be a lot more investigation into this realm, although federally I'm not allowed to delve into that. I see it as a risk factor, and that's why I'm reporting on it. But federally, I'm not allowed to use any federal funds to address gambling specifically. I am allowed to address the behaviors surrounding that, decision-making, peer pressure, that sort of thing. But I do think it's important for this committee to be aware of that behavior that is a trending. As you know,
can I stop you for 1 second? How is gambling defined?
So for that question related to the students, it included online gambling. What they call behavior markets. What's that?
Yeah, that's where I'm going. That's exactly where I'm going.
Markets. Yes, thank you. We kind of kept it as a broad spectrum question. If this committee is interested in it, we can absolutely parse that out a little bit further in the next data collection.
I would be actually.
Sure.
Yeah, if you don't mind, that would be great. But we don't have to go into it further here. But it's
Sure.
more than an idle question. I think it comes to an interesting. It may come to some interesting conclusions, but I'm not sure.
Absolutely. And I think this data collection is the place for collecting that. This specific survey is the place for that. And if I may suggest, and I'm saying this so that you don't forget, because I might forget, is to look at access. How easy is it for them to access? We ask access
Yes.
questions about substances, but we don't ask it about gambling. So I think that is something that we should probably think about doing next year.
Yeah, I will try. I've got like 100 questions in my head, so
I know.
I will not torture everybody else on the phone by asking them. But why don't you keep going, and then
Okay,
I'll try and filter it out.
Sure. Kratom is no longer an emerging substance. That we've been talking about this for about 5 years now, 6 years now, actually, in North Reading. Happy that that number is low and that a lot of kids reported they didn't even know what Kratom was. One of the emerging trends that we're starting to see is as it is becoming a investment opportunity nationwide, similar to how marijuana became an investment opportunity, we are starting to see it legalized. One of the trends I want to raise awareness about generally is how town to town can ban it, town to town can put restrictions on it, but so can the state. The state is looking at this. However, just like we looked at nicotine-free generation, I would like for us to be on the front side of this, not the back side. One of the trends related to towns banning it is that they'll say, okay, we'll legalize what they're calling, I don't know if you can see my bunny ears, but natural kratom, the leaf in leaf form, but we will prohibit synthetic kratom. Synthetic kratom is often laced with other product and other chemicals. The problem is the synthetic manufacturers have become very wise to this, and they are now mimicking natural kratom in their product. Without any monitoring systems in place that are regular, that is virtually impossible to monitor. You would have to have almost an expert come in and test every single product that is being sold in the store. It's virtually impossible to do. We certainly don't have that capacity in North Reading. And that's why the coalition's position on this would be a full ban until we are able to properly monitor that the town could reconsider. But we do advocate for a total ban on kratom as we're starting to see more and more harm. Now,
could you do me a favor and define kratom for those of us that may not have? I actually did Google it, but for those that may not have actually Googled it, could you define what it is?
I shall, but I'll also say that this could be a whole other separate presentation. Kratom is
agreed. Yeah.
Yep, is a plant from Southeast Asia. I have to say that in many cultures it has a cultural purpose, and so we have to be sensitive to that as well. But depending on the strain, depending on your body chemistry, depending on any other chemicals in the system, it can be both a stimulant and a sedative, or a sedative. It's very difficult to know if somebody is using it because, in full disclosure, most overdoses related to kratom, whether they be fatal overdoses or non-fatal overdoses, often have polydrug use associated with them. I know that there are people who, because kratom attaches to the same receptor in your brain, the opiate receptor. I'm sorry if you can hear my cat batting around his toy behind me. Because it attaches to the same receptor in the brain, I know some people legitimately use it to kick opiate addiction. I don't want to take away their experience if they were able to do that. I've met people who say that kratom has helped them kick opiate addiction. But again, any unmonitored treatment like that comes with a certain risk. And again, what adults do with substances adults do, I am totally focused on what youth have access to. Very happy to see these low numbers, but continuously monitoring it, if that makes sense. We didn't ask it in grades 7, 8, and 9. 6 through 8. Does that answer your question,
great.
Mr. Friedman?
That absolutely does. Thank you.
Okay. Overall picture, again, with the red being that 2025 wonky number, unscientific term there, wonky number, but happy to see decline across all the substances that we are federally mandated to report, as well as vape that we separate out as a different product. Again, without the 2025 number. Okay. I can kind of blow through the next couple slides because these are just federally mandated that we report on them. It's related to students' perception of risk or harm. Obviously, if a student perceives a substance to be more harmful, and in this way reported as moderate or great risk, they're less likely to use it. So as you can see, some of those numbers are really high. Some of them go into the lower numbers. So 9th grade, seeing alcohol as being moderate or great risk at 50-something% is not great. But again, if we take out that 2025 number, that's still a very strange, to go from 91% to 57% is very strange. Again, without the 2025 numbers. Similarly, there's a correlation between student perception of disapproval related to how their peers and their parents see a substance. The more they perceive a parent or a peer would disapprove, the less likely they are to use it. So that's what we report on for the federal numbers as well. We always talk about where students use substances. You can see a very clear, consistent answer for most of these. And I do like to point this out because I think we're still fielding questions 10 years later where somebody will say the schools need to do more about this, the police need to do more of this. And we continuously say this is a community problem. Substances don't just happen in one location. And in fact, schools are barely mentioned at all. Even, you see the first and second response, most popular responses. Only in 2025 was it mentioned once. So I think that's really important to note that although we do know substances, specifically vaping, does occur in the schools, that is not what students report as the #1 place where they use, or even the second most popular place they use. This is something that we track year to year. We want this number to get older and older, and had some gains there. That's a good thing to see. Ideally, I would love that number to be up in the 18s or higher, realistically. So this is only for students answer this if they've identified that they did in fact try a substance. I always get the question about versus national data, but I do think that it's valid to make a note of this, is that the University of Michigan often is a year behind. This year they were caught up to us. So this is 2026 versus 2026. So that's an improvement there. If we are red, that means we are doing poorer performance than the national average. Green is better performance than the national average. And unfortunately, the University of Michigan study does not track grade 8 and 10 drug numbers related to, prescription drug numbers. And they don't track the odd number grades. They only do 8, 10, and 12. Thought we would include this year as related to mental health trends that we might see, because we do know there's correlation, and that's something that over the next few months we can look deeper into using crosstabs to say, if a student had a high report of anxiety, were they more or less likely to also report using a substance? So we wanted to report out on reported anxiety, depression, and does not have safe or healthy coping mechanisms. Saw some improvements there. And I am not able to advance. Uh-oh. Are you able to hear me still?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I'm not able to advance. The good stuff's coming up. The feel good stuff's coming up. I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna just try it again. Let's see. Sorry, everybody.
All good.
I don't know why. Okay, if not, then I'll just do it from this view. Oh, Google is having a problem. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna try this. Okay, can everybody see that one?
Not yet.
No,
Oh,
not yet.
Technology.
Mr. Friedman, it drives me nuts. I love it when it works. Okay. Well,
Everything
if
was
it's
working
okay,
well. I don't know what happened.
I know we were doing
Did it
fine there
just
a second
freeze on
ago.
you?
I'm able to advance now and see it, but you folks are not, right?
Yeah, we can't see it.
Okay, one more try. One more try. Nothing there?
You got it. We're up.
Oh, okay. All right. It might look a little wonky on your end there, but
That's
we'll give
okay.
it a shot. Okay, thank you. Some ways that you always ask me how you can support our work at the coalition. And so our asks this year are very similar. support the parent associations, ask for assemblies. The way we have a great partnership with them is they vet the speakers and they vet the presentations and we pay for it. I don't have the capacity as a staff of one to vet every interest or presenter that comes our way, but the parent associations are great at doing that. They just don't always have the money to pay for it. So it's definitely a win-win for that. And we've been able to expand our offerings this year to include anything related to behaviors that increase protective factors. So that's a great thing. The Hood School did a jump roping presentation about perseverance, and that we were able to pay for that, for example. As always, as we are being asked if the town wants to sign on for lawsuit funds, for example, the opioid abatement funds, continue to support that because that goes back directly into what we do here in the classrooms. Mental health first aid, I cannot thank Chuck Capobianco anymore. He is I believe we are having a presentation of mental health first aid for 18 coaches coming up in August. This is an amazing achievement. This is a huge leap forward. He was a great advocate along with Eddie Blum and Matt Costello. They've been great advocates for getting this training to coaches. Laura Miranda and Lieutenant Howe are providing that free of charge to all of them. And I'm excited that August 18th has been set and we are happy to offer that. And if more coaches want to participate in that, we will take all of them or even add a second presentation in. As you always support our data collection, that really is key. Dr. Daly and I spoke, even though we are no longer going to be federally funded nor required to collect that data, we will continue forward next year and obviously year to year make that decision based on the school committee support of collecting that data. And there's we do see a value to that, including supporting administration campaigns like the cell phone use and all that is important to that. Thank you for assigning a liaison. We've had several of you be liaisons to the coalition. We meet Mondays, the fourth Monday of the month at 10 o'clock hybrid. So if anybody else wants to join us, they're welcome to do that. And if we're asking for support in the I Decide chemical diversion pilot. This is something I recently sent information to Dr. Daly for his review. It is going to be fully funded. It's a Harvard School of Public Health initiative. It's fully paid for. And I'm happy to report that I'm going to be going to the August training to become a trainer. If administrators or teachers want to become trained down the road, and I don't think that this is necessarily the path to take year one, they are able to offer professional development points. And that's a huge additive for those educators to get that through the Harvard program. I don't see a downside. There's so many schools in Massachusetts doing this. We're a little bit behind. I'm excited to catch us up. Our partner has been phenomenal in offering whatever he can do. If you all want him to come and speak to you about the I Decide program or just Dr. Daly or administration team, he's willing to do all of that. I do want to highlight the few educators on your team that got selected for Trusted Adult Awards. Just as a reminder, the kids picked these. The kids sent in nominations. Jennifer Novicki is a middle school science teacher. Alexa at the Hood School is a school adjustment counselor. By the way, I just want to say too that we surprised all of these educators, and that was awesome. Miss Alexa got surprised by the entire third grade class, was brought into the auditorium, and that was kind of fun. Heather Mayola is a multiple-time award winner in this category. She's a middle school math teacher. And Jeff Strong is, where's his little name? There we go. Jeff Strong is a substitute at middle school. And shout out to Miss Elkins, who was able to attend some of these as well. I just love this picture. The high school got all of the teachers and support staff behind Caitlin Jalbert to do this picture, and she was surprised. She didn't know she was getting it, but I just love the image of.
It's a great picture.
It's a great picture.
It's a great shot.
Everybody there. I thought that was, I mean, I just, this one kind of teared me up a little bit. I just thought that was such a great visual of that. They all surrounded her and gave her a big appreciation clap. It was
awesome. Great shot.
It was wonderful. Lastly, as a reminder, we do have National Night Out August 4th. The rain date is going to be August 11th. Everything is free. It's going to be at Ipswich River Park as usual, 5 o'clock to 7:30. There's something for every age group, seniors to kids alike. Everything is included. It's not a single dime costs any family to come, including a free barbecue that's going to be cooked by the police department. Excuse me, we do have a major sponsor this year. Stone and Bank is sponsoring it, so we're able to keep everything free, which is great. If the school committee would like to have a table, we encourage you to do so. It's a wonderful opportunity to talk to the community and have them stop by. We do have, my favorite event is coming back, which is reading with the chiefs. So we have a little reading nook where Chief Zimmerman and Chief Stats are going to be reading to whoever who wants to sit at their blanket. It's really cute. It's in partnership with the Flint Memorial Library. We have a roving magician again, free face painting, drone demo. We did secure the canine unit to come and do a demo there as well. But if you can come, please come. Only once has it been double rained out. So keep both dates free. If you're available, we would love to have you. And as you know, I always end any presentation with Laura Miranda's information. If anybody out there needs any sort of mental health or substance abuse connections to treatments of any level, she can connect you with insurance, without insurance, and that's all of her information. She's available through the police department, but she can talk to you over the phone, over email, or whatever's convenient, most comfortable for somebody. Okay, I think that's it. Hopefully we can, I don't know if this stopped sharing, but I think it did.
I'm guessing there are a bunch of questions because people just turn their cameras on. So I don't know who wants to go first.
I'll jump in. I did prevention and education in K through 12, the university level in SAMHSA. And let me tell you, Amy, what you have going on surpasses all the rest.
Thank you.
It is incredible. It's comprehensive. It's thoughtful. You continually take feedback, look at what's on the cutting edge, everything from the data. I love doing mental health first aid. I'd completed it before, but the session that was held at the police station surpassed all my expectations. Looking forward to National Night Out. Yes, I'll be there with school committee. We would love to have a table.
Great.
Thank you so much for all you do. It really does make a difference. Thank you.
My pleasure. Well, the support that we get from the school committee makes a difference too. It's a partnership, right? It really wouldn't work without you guys.
Hi, I'll jump in. So I'll just echo what Julie said. I don't have any specific questions. We all figured that last year was an anomaly, but I still think the numbers, look great. And I think that's in large part to the work that you do. And I just think North Reading is really, really lucky to have you. And I'm glad that you're going to be staying on in some capacity with the police station. And I know everything that you do benefits the kids of North Reading. And I love seeing those numbers every year and seeing that, really making an impact. So thank you.
Well, thank you for your support of nicotine-free generation too. And your kids coming to speak made me cry, as you know. But again, having you as a parent, having you as an elected official really made a difference for that too. Although we were unsuccessful this round, the Board of Health is going to reconsider in July of 2027.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Any other comments? I will say for myself, I'm just at the numbers generally, it's not a subject that I can certainly know as well as most of or others on this call, but I'm still amazed by the fact that access goes up and gets easier to almost everything that you're tracking, and yet we're still able to push numbers down. And as Jennifer said, it's in large part due to your efforts, as well as I think that the town generally. I mean, I think there's an overall structure and just sort of mentality in the town that leads to it too. But your work is just invaluable. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's there's a dispensary on all over the place, and our numbers still go down. That's awesome. It's wonderful.
Yeah, access is tough. And I think in general, having been here for over, for 13 years now, the approach to health is much more holistic in this town than some other towns I've worked in. And that's really in part to a community pull in that direction. And that's a cultural change, and it's really hard. Do we have work to do? Absolutely, especially around adults approving of alcohol use and things like that, or using with students and marijuana. But I'm glad you pointed that out. As access increases, it's like fighting an uphill battle. And again, this is not a school problem. This is not a police problem. This is a community problem. And that approach has really been what drives those numbers down. There's no other explanation. It's just that all these sectors pulling in the same direction. We have over 40 volunteers for the coalition across many, many different sectors. And if we didn't have that, it just wouldn't work.
No, thank you. Thank you for everything. We really appreciate it. Any other comments, questions? All right. Thank you, Amy.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great afternoon or evening.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Amy, thanks for all you do.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
All right. So I think we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled programming and the policies, if that makes sense. So let me just look at my printout sitting next to me. Okay, that gets us into the continued business, the second reading of policy IDAC.
Correct.
I don't know if Tim or Jennifer, you guys want to lead that? I know this is a second reading.
It is. We presented last time. There's no major changes or updates to the document. This is just, we would want to approve second reading of IDAC and then another vote for IDACR.
One thing that came to mind as I was reading it today, and I didn't notice it the first time, is I wondered if there should be some type of reference to a national guidance or age appropriate or as recommended by the NIH or something that was there to recognize just quite a difference between K and 12 in some sort of way. So that was the only thing I thought about, if there might just be a sentence. But otherwise, I would like to move this forward.
So just to clarify, in terms of acceptable use or in terms of AI, is that what you mean?
Both. Because I think there's quite a difference between what we're talking about that's being recommended now by children who are up to age 11 as opposed to those 12 to 18. I know that we've had those conversations within the context, and so I was trying to think about what would be a way to make that distinction based on development, based on age level, and whether there might be a national statement we can look to, pediatric association, something that might have some guidance, just to reference, even within Massachusetts itself.
Do you have any proposed language or anything in mind? Or?
I don't.
No, that's okay.
I don't.
That's okay.
I don't. I tried to get to that today, but wasn't able to. But yeah, that's something I wondered about. So it just might be helpful for folks to understand.
Typically, with all this, as we laid out, we follow the Department of Education guidance, and that's kind of implied. DESE is working on, they have a policy, a playbook that I was a part of this year. And so maybe if we just add that we'll follow the DESE guidance related to AI that will be aligned with this K-12, maybe that would meet that need.
I think that would be great. And it would also put us in a position that as things change, even if they change their policy, we don't need to because we've already referenced them. So just, I think that's a great strategy.
So we could, if someone, unless there's other comment, if someone wanted to make a motion to approve with that addition, we can just add that language.
Sorry. Is anybody else?
Noelle had her hand up.
I just, sorry, I try to use the hand up, even though I tend to blurt things more often. This is just like kind of what Julie just said, inspired it a little bit. And also what Jeff was speaking of when we were talking about the dramatic change, maybe some of the more dramatic changes with the tardiness and policies like that is, you know, when we make these policy updates, a lot of times they're very minor or they don't really affect that many people. But with something as major as this, as a policy change, I would imagine it would be a little bit more of a public announcement. And, you know, Julie saying that, like, using the opportunity to say that we're following national guidance. But I also wonder if it's the opportunity in terms of, and maybe I'm jumping ahead to social media or something else like that, but even with by the district, just using quoting some of the incredible recent studies and, you know, there's so much interesting information out there in terms of the effects of social media. So it's not just like, oh, hey, we're doing this, but it's like, we're doing this because there's just so much overwhelming evidence in support of it. So I don't know if this is the right time to make that mention or if it's something we want to share on social media, but just wanted to share my thought on that.
I like the concept of referencing, especially more mass DESI, and maybe even federal guidelines, more than a specific study. And the reason I would say that is because it gives more flexibility into research that follows on, instead of a specific study, which is a point in time, which could be very good and could be outstanding. But to me, I'd rather follow an agency or something like that can keep evolving too, rather than just a point, just a point in time piece of research. I know it makes it sound like I'm denigrating like a single piece of research, and I don't mean to sound like that.
No, I know what you're saying, Jeff.
Yeah, I wanted something that can evolve. Yeah,
I just think that there's, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but it's just I can't think of something else where there's so much overwhelming, like, in the public forum discussion about this. I just think it's, I mean, if people aren't paying attention to this, they're not paying attention. But
Mr.
again,
Friedman, Mr. Friedman,
Yes.
through you.
Yeah.
So to that point, Ms. Roloff, I think, you know, we did take the step when we did the first reading of kind of sending it out to the whole parent community and just drawing attention to these items. And I think similarly, when we announced these changes, similar to what the high school said they're doing, I think both the AI piece and the cell phone piece and sort of the tech updates will be a big part of what we communicate out and some of the why behind that. And we've done that through our regular updates with the K-12 action team and why we've done it that way. And we'll keep that moving forward, because I agree, these are more impactful than some of the just language changes we've had in the past.
yeah, thank you. And I can make the motion if we're ready for that.
Any other comments, questions? Go for it.
Okay, so I move to approve the second reading of policy JGFH.
This one is IDAC, I believe.
Oh, okay. Sorry. No, you're right. Being on Zoom makes it so much different. I'm like, where am I? Okay. Move to approve. The second reading of IDAC and IDACR.
With are we doing it with the amended language?
With the amended language from Ms. Elkins, Dr. Elkins.
Julie. I second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll vote. Jennifer.
Aye.
Julie? I think that was an aye, but it was a little garbled.
Aye.
Okay, got it. Tim?
Aye.
Noel?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Record that as 5-0.
Mr. Friedman, just to clarify, that was Ms. Rudloff that made the motion and Ms. Elkins that seconded?
That's correct.
Yes.
And the motion included the addition of the DESI guidance, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then we just need a similar motion for IDACR, which is just the regulation.
Oh, sorry.
piece.
Okay, I did those both at once. Would that have the additional language or? Let's see. Move to approve the second reading of IDACR with additional language.
Need a second.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Jennifer?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
We have a whole team saying they're for it. Tim?
Aye.
Noel?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well, 5-0.
And the motion was made by
By me. Noel.
Noel?
and seconded by
Tim.
Tim. Thank you.
Tim, can you do all your motions with a British accent, please?
I'm learning all of my British terms. Don't worry. Wait till I get back.
So I'll move to JGI. Is that good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I'll just give an update. The only change from this first time, if you recall, there was specific language that we added to JGIR. So similarly, we just want two motions here. Where Ms. Conant added in language here that I have added in yellow, which just is the specific procedures for our district that we have.
I can go ahead and do those.
Okay.
Or does anyone have any? I don't want to interrupt any discussion, but
Yeah, anybody have any thoughts, anything? This is a second reading, so anybody have anything to add?
I'm just updating. I'm going to change school safety, Alice. As we said earlier, just trying not to name specific programs in our policies. Okay.
okay. Move to approve the second reading of JGI and JGIR. Do I have to do those separately? Do these two motions?
I think so, just in case there's any.
Okay. All right. So just sticking with JGI for now.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Jennifer?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Noel?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. That approved 5-0.
Okay. Then I'll move to approve the second reading of JGIR.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll conduct a roll call vote. Jennifer?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Noel?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Approved 5-0. Now on to JB. This is a first reading of policy JB.
This is second reading also.
I
might have it.
Yeah, it's just okay. That's fine. Great.
It's my fault. Yeah, I'll update that.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
These are all second readings. Sorry about that.
All good.
There are no changes to this one. This is the update to the absence notification and dropout prevention language. We actually mentioned it a little bit earlier. So.
Yep. Any additional questions or discussion on this? Okay. Can we get a motion?
Sure. Move to approve the second reading of policy JB.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll conduct a roll call vote. Jennifer,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Noel.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Approved 5-0. That moves us to JGFH. This is the second reading of policy JGFH. I don't think anything's changed in here.
No additional updates. This is related to student devices.
Yep. I know we spent a pretty fair amount of time on this one when we were talking about it. I think this is reflective of our discussions and what we went through. But does anybody else have anything with this? I know it's a pretty weighty topic and current topic for all of us.
No, I just wanted to say, I know I missed the first reading, but I very much appreciate the effort and how this read this afternoon. I think it looks really good.
Excellent. Anyone else?
Something I wondered about as I was reading it, and as I'm watching some of the national reports and information, especially the changes that are happening in California in the classroom. So as much as we're talking about devices, and I'm not asking that we change anything in this, I think we want to be aware that parents may also ask about access to Chromebooks before age 11, being able to have screens in the classroom. So just to know that is a conversation and there's changes being made on the West Coast, and just for us to be aware of it. So I support the measure as written and move that we support it.
Yeah, I heard an NPR report a few weeks ago as well about what's going on in California, and I think that this is going to evolve, and it's going to evolve quickly. I agree with what's here, but I think it's incumbent on us to stay vigilant, and this is a great example. This and AI and other areas, it's a great example where we know we're going to learn a lot more, and things are going to keep changing, and it's just incumbent on us to stay on top of it. But I'm, as previously stated, I'm in for what's written in here as well. Any discussion? Anyone else?
All right. I'm happy to read the motion.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Move to approve a second reading of policy JGFH.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll vote. Jennifer,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
well,
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Approved 5-0. Thank you. Just before we go on to anything else, I just want to, I know we've said it in the past, I'm really appreciative of all the hard work that goes into these policy changes. It's very detailed work, but very important work, and I'm very appreciative of the efforts that have gone on, the great efforts that have gone on towards this. So thank you to not just people on this committee. It's the people on this committee, but also all the others that have been involved. Dr. Daly, yourself, everyone that goes into everything that goes into this. So thank you.
Agreed. Yeah, it's policy subcommittee, but then it's also the K-12 action team.
Yeah.
Mr. Segroy did the writing basically of our AUP updates, and hearing from all of our administrators weighing in on those documents as well. So thank
Absolutely.
you for acknowledging that. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a team for all this stuff. Okay, I think that moves us to electric vehicle charging stations.
Correct. So my understanding is that I've shared with you a license agreement that I believe could be signed by the school committee at this point. We are not entering into any agreement to profit from this. This is just basically we are giving them the space for them to have 2 electric vehicle charging stations. If this goes well, we will talk about doing this at other schools as well. But this is set up for the middle school, high school campus at 189 Park Street. It does involve adding a pole and some stations that would be set up. So we've worked with the town. Really, Michael Connell has been working on this with RMLD for several years.
Yep. Right.
But the map just shows there'd be a pole here down by the tennis courts. There'd be some underground wiring, and the first 2 stations next to the tennis courts would be the EV charging stations. So
Yeah.
Are there any questions? Or Michael, I don't know if you had anything else to share.
No, that's great, Mr. Daly. Yes, we've been working on this for a number of years. We were looking to get some clarity on how the agreement would be set up, but what Dr. Daly said is correct. So it's not anything that we're going to be profiting from or taking in kind of any revenue sharing. It's just permission for RMLD to place these stations on the site for those users, staff members, community members, or so that want to connect. They would be creating their own account and paying for that, for the use of that on their own. But this will just provide the ability for them to do so for those with electric vehicles. So something that's been in the works for a while, and we're excited to hopefully kind of push it through the finish line and get this going. Any questions, really?
Yeah, Julie.
I have a concern about the location. Once it's out there, it invites anyone to come and sit where the children are located. And I have significant concerns about that. I have appreciated how in some local businesses, like Target, they're off somewhere else and kind of away from the main entrance. And I don't know, it causes me great anxiety to think about that anyone could just look it up on a map and then come and be on campus at any time and say they're legitimately charging. I guess that's my concern. I understand things are changing and individuals need that, and there's probably staff and perhaps students that could really benefit from this, but I'm just concerned about the safety aspect. So if it needs to be in that area for some reason, can there also be you're on camera if you're someone who has this level of restriction, you are not welcome here? I don't know, but I think the more I thought about it, the more concerned I became.
So my question is, since couldn't anybody park in the parking lot for any reason?
Mr. Friedman, through you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I appreciate that concern. I think the same rules would apply for the school property during the school day.
Yeah.
So, people from time to time will try to use the tennis courts or walk on the track, or and we will remind them of when they're being used by classes that it's not a public location during the school day, and so that same would apply for the for the stations. I would assume most likely these will be used by employees, possibly students during the day, and there's only 2 spots. So and we would enforce that if people were coming and just parking there who didn't belong there during the school day, we would do that the same way if someone was just there to take photos and there are kids on the playground. So
Yeah, even if someone were parked 5 spaces down from there and they were just parked there, which they could do, I would assume we would have the same vigilance.
yeah. Jennifer, has
Julie,
her
you
hand
can.
up?
I mean, I don't want to put. This isn't to push anything down. I mean, you can feel free to respond or,
And I'll just add, and I appreciate that too. I know in a lot of parking lots they're in a different spot. I don't know that there's any way we could have power at the back of the parking lots, and I'd in some ways I'd rather have these more in view, but I do appreciate that. Like in other lots, that's where they are. Mr. Friedman, Jennifer Leanders has her hand up.
Yeah, go for it.
Hi, Julie, I had never thought of that, and I think that's a really valid concern. And I get what you were saying, Dr. Daly, about rather having them in the front, and anyone can park there. But would it be worth it to put up some sort of signage, like Julie mentioned?
Sure, we can look into that. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's a really valid concern.
Would it need to be on a map as far as where, I know my brother-in-law comes to visit, he has one, he looks on the map to see what's close, what's, things like that.
So in other words, to not have it listed like on Google, that type of thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. Michael, is the contract speak to that at all, or is that something we can look into?
Yeah, the contract lays out just the conditions of how they would use our space and how the revenue piece of it would work, and the fact that we're under there's no cost liability for the school, maintenance liability, or anything like that. It's more what the contract is about. So, that's definitely a question we can explore a little further.
My thinking would be, like I said, this would be primarily for North Reading Public Schools employees and students.
Yeah, that's absolutely how we talked about it with RMLD. It's kind of how it works in other districts that they've done, that they serve, Reading, for example. I think we have it's certainly more within our rights probably to enforce that, either through signage or whatever we want to do.
Okay.
Fair enough. There's nothing to approve or have a motion on here, is there?
Well, it would be that they're approving to have you sign this contract. If you want us to take this back and get that answer, and we can bring it up again, or if we want to approve it.
Is it at the? I guess what I'm asking is, it at the point of contract? Are we at the point of going to contract?
We would we've worked on this contract. It's been a lot of back and forth for a period of time on logistics around it. So we would love to do that if we can, and get this moving forward.
I think what I'm hearing is a yes. We want approval to go to contract on this.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. In which case, we would need a motion to approve the contract or the pursuit of a contract for electric vehicle charging stations in the high school parking lot, or something akin to that.
Jeff, Tim has his hand up.
Quick, Jeff, just 2 quick questions. I'm sorry. So, who owns the stations? Is it RMLD or is it a third party?
RMLD. I believe, Michael, right?
Correct. RMLD is the
Okay, so they're comparable to the ones that you see in like downtown Reading.
Yep. So they want, you see in downtown Reading, you see with the Reading Public Library, you see in the subreddings. That's
okay. And just, maybe to piggyback on Julie and Jen's questions. I hated the location, but for different reasons. Just I look at it as it's a very convenient place for a lot of neighbors to go just plug in their cars and sit there during the day. So signage definitely should be considered. Were there any other viable locations understanding the proximity to the poles, I'm assuming is the big one. But
Yep.
Yeah, I think when we had done walk the site, because there's electrical poles there, there's electrical poles, the tennis court lights box there, to limit a lot of construction in underground conduit, et cetera. They felt they had identified that location. Well, looks like I know somebody can say knows there as the ideal location.
okay, and then I guess just one last quick one. Have we thought about what's going to happen when we have one or more students or staff jockeying for those 2 spots? I'm sure there's more than one electric car coming in every day.
I mean, I think it's like anything that's going to be just first come, first serve, I'd imagine.
Okay.
Yeah, I can imagine we're going to have to work out some kind of sign-up system or something like that, and figure it out. I'm not even sure how long they take to charge and whether they're going to have to come out and move their cars during the middle of the day. That there will be a logistical piece with that, but hopefully the benefits of being able to do that will outweigh it.
Yeah, I'm just
And,
hoping the benefits outweigh the logistics for an already taxed administration staff that we have right now. Because I think these are like the 8 to 10 hour chargers. Like these aren't like the superchargers, right?
These are either level 2 or level 3, I would imagine.
That's
Yes,
level 2.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
And just to be clear, you would be paying too. They're not. They're whoever the person is would be paying for the charge directly with RMLD. So Noelle has her hand up too.
Just to follow up sort of on the point there that Julie made, which I think is excellent, and also about the speed of charging. So I don't have an electric vehicle, so I'm not even, that never even occurred to me, the speed. But if these are chargers that take 6-8 hours, I'm wondering, one, is that sort of a deterrent for someone, and God, I hope no one's going to sit there for 6 to 8 hours in the parking lot. Without using the facilities. But I agree that I would feel better approving this if there was signage that said, like, strictly for the use of faculty and students. I mean, if someone's coming here on a weekend for 6 hours, that's kind of weird too. So I don't know how much control we have over signage, but that's just a thought.
So level 2 chargers, depending on the type of car, yeah, you're pretty much there. It's like, assume you'll get 10 to 30 miles an hour of range. So yeah, you're going to be there a while. Typically what you do is you just plug it in and you walk away. And and if you're at the school or whatever, then you typically walk away. You're not sleeping there.
Yeah, I just see all those people at Target, and there's like just people just sitting in their cars. I assume those are faster chargers, and I think
faster.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to have signage that said, this is for students and faculty only, and end of story. But
I agree with that.
I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
No, I agree with that.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense.
So I think what we're looking for is a motion with the provision that includes some level of signage for restricted use of the facilities to students, faculty, that sort of thing.
I move that we dedicate the charging stations for students and faculty only and provide signage so everyone understands the clear expectation.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Jennifer?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Noelle?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Approved 5-0.
So is that approval to sign the contract with that stipulation if it's added?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
New business.
No, thank you. Are we doing the?
We could do the CPAC advisory if we want to do that first.
Yeah, that's fine. And for fairness of full disclosure, as you guys know, I'm sort of unexpectedly in a car, so I can talk about the evaluations. I can't share anything, but I can speak cogently on some of it. So we can do that. But why don't we do the CPAC advisory?
Sure. So just as a follow-up to the great presentation we had last month, Dr. Elkins, I believe, had asked for some more information, some qualitative feedback. That information was shared with the school committee as a whole. So we just talked about addressing it under correspondence, but also we put a separate agenda item on there just to talk through the next steps of that process. And so, you know, this, as discussed at our last meeting, the school department is working on a resource guide, and that resource guide will be very family friendly. I think we also talked about ways we can be more transparent about the professional development that we are offering. So sharing some of the different trainings that teachers have had and some of the topics. But also, I think we need to hear more from CPAC and from parents about possibly some specific topics. I know some that have been brought to my attention for some diagnoses that are more recent, that there's been more research and development in, and making sure that all staff are up to speed on some of these disabilities, I think would be important. So I think those type of topics are very important to have. And then also that the idea would be that the survey, you know, that Ms. Reynolds worked on with Ms. Conan, with others, we looked at the data, and some of the raw data was very raw, and we tried to look at how to present that in such a way that it was responsive and representative of what was received, but also would be very productive. Didn't pit you know, teachers against parents or schools against schools or anything like that. So the document that was shared in your packet was the document marked as final, which was, we believe that would be shared out with the community. I think CPAC may put it on their website, or maybe share and disseminate a little bit through social media. And then there would also be some guidance forthcoming from the district that sort of addresses some of these concerns. So I didn't know if there were any questions or thoughts. And I believe Ms. Reynolds was also on the call if we wanted to ask her if there's anything she wanted to share. I'm happy to have her speak as well.
Yeah, any other thoughts, comments from anyone?
I just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate all that CPAC does, and to be able to have someone come in and go, do you have the qualitative research on this? And then being able to share that. I think that in reading some of the stories helped me to understand better where some of the experiences are for the parents, specifically about learning systems. Communication stood out. And I also appreciate that there's already efforts being made as far as looking at training, and, you know, there's always updates. But I think this is a real opportunity for the district, you know, where we have a CPAC that's so open and working with the school committee for us to, I'm the appointee to meet with CPAC and to learn more about, you know, are there like top 3 things perhaps that would be really helpful in going into the new school year that we learned about. And I think there might be some wins that we can have out of that, putting all of our heads together. So thank you so much for all you do.
And Mr. Friedman, through you,
Yeah, please.
just wanted to share that, to follow up on that. You know, when I was able to speak with Ms. Reynolds, and the student services has confirmed that one of the things we talked about would be positive, would it be to have some school-based listening sessions, where parents can just come to the school, and it would be both the principal and central office student services staff, maybe some teachers there as well, just to hear some of the ongoing issues, sort of in a proactive way, to do that sort of regularly throughout the school year. So that's something that she and I had talked about. I've passed that on to the principals and to the student services, and I think that is something we're going to roll out this fall as well. So those are some great ideas that came from our collaborative work. So
Excellent. Mira, I'm not sure if you're on. If you wanna say anything, you certainly not. I don't want to make you feel pressured into saying anything, but I'm not sure if you're still on or if you do want to say something.
I'll just echo while I'm waiting for her what Julie said, which is I think we're so lucky to have the CPAC and their level of communication and the energy that they bring to the committee is great. So just very appreciative of them.
Wholeheartedly agree with what everybody has said, truly.
Thank you. Sorry, that was the exact moment my microphone decided to stop working.
It's always the way. It's always the way, right?
Thank you. If anybody has any follow-up questions, CPAC is always available.
And that's why we appreciate it, because we know that. that's why it's so appreciated. So thank you, and thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. I think I don't think there's any approval of anything. It's because we're entering documents into record, and that's done. I don't know that there's a motion that's needed for that, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong,
Yep.
which I frequently am.
I think it's a part of the record now for this meeting, which is great.
Correct.
Yep. And then CPAC, if they want to release that final document, and then just follow up with me and with Cynthia on the resource document that's being developed. So
Excellent.
If we're moving on, I wonder whether should we maybe do the Hood School modular, and then
let's do Hood.
That'll let Michael. I know Michael's traveling as well, so that'll be good.
No, let's do that, because so just so people know, there's why don't we do it, and then if there are any questions, because that's had a lot of discussion in the background with the finance planning team as well.
And I did update the motion today based on some conversations with Mr. Gilberto, so it may be different than what you have printed, Tim. But I'm sorry, Jeff.
Yep, I get that a lot.
Do you want me to speak to it, or?
Yeah, if you want, go for it.
So just as we've been discussing the Hood School modular project, we've had it as a regular agenda item at all of our meetings, but we are at the point now where we believe that we want to move forward with a request from the town to support modular projects. So what we would need to do is the motion would need to be that the select board at their upcoming August meeting, I believe it's August 3rd, would consider a debt exclusion. We're suggesting $3.5 million, which would include any and all costs related to the project. You don't want to go, you don't want to be under, so that builds in a buffer there of some unexpected costs, and then we can hopefully come in lower than that. We would consider option 2 of the modular project proposal, which is what's included in your packet and has been in previous packets. That would be the replacement of the modulars at both the Little and the Hood with new modulars at the Hood School only. So going from 2 at the Little and 4 at the Hood to 6 total at the Hood, and the site cost and landscaping and everything to accommodate the additional space there. So this request would be to ask the select board to consider the debt exclusion to go both at town meeting and on the ballot for the November state election. So the timing of this is what's of the essence. We have to get it in their hands so they can process it. There is a timeline related to when they can add questions to the vote in November. it's been discussed here in the past that we certainly want to try to do this at October town meeting and not wait until the spring. There are going to be several questions on the ballot this year. I believe it's between 7 and 9 questions in addition to the election. But we thought that it was important to bring that forward to you tonight so that then we could bring it forward to the select board. If approved tonight, I would share this with them tomorrow or the next day so that they would have it ready for their packets to go on August 3rd.
So just to supplement what was what's being said here, I don't think any of this is a surprise to anybody on this board that we're doing this. There was some discussion in the background of, do we do this as part of like an override, which pretty quickly we said that's not a great idea. Or do we do this as a debt exclusion? That was obviously the way that it should go. Or maybe not so obvious, but it seemed like a natural conclusion. And then the other piece of it was, how much, and Dr. Daly did a great job of answering that, of you want to be a little over-inclusive, you want to be a little higher than what you think you need, because you don't know that you're going to get another shot at it. And then finally it was overall, how do we message this? I think that's a separate discussion of like how we then present this at the town meeting, but even before, making sure we've got a visible campaign as to why this is the right move and why the numbers are right, just making sure that this goes through. I don't want to make an assumption that this is going to pass, so we're going to have to hit social media, we're going to have to hit as many areas as we can to make sure we get the word out why this is necessary and why it's quite frankly why it's financially responsible. Because if you really look back at what we presented over the last about a year, we were originally starting off with a much larger project. We're ending with a smaller yet reasonable and financially responsible project that works for our needs as well as works for the town. So we're going to have to get that message out, but I think we're taking all the right steps. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Someone, I heard a ping. I think it's Jennifer.
Hi. No, Jeff, I think you're right. We're absolutely going to have to do a campaign, and obviously we can all help with that. But I guess I just want to take this one step more. What happens if the debt exclusion doesn't pass? Then what do we do?
Do you like leaks in your roof?
We don't do it.
Yeah. The only other plan B is you go to the well again and either include this in a larger package or as part of an override in the spring, if that's the direction we're going, which obviously that's something we're thinking about. And or you try again. You see, even if you are going for an override, you could still try this again as part of a debt exclusion. But look, I that's why I think having a campaign ahead of time is going to be so important. There really isn't a plan B.
Yeah, I mean, this is way too big for capital improvement planning, right? So the only option is debt exclusion.
Correct. Unless people are going to give up their roads for like a couple years.
Even if they did, we only spent like 2.1 on capital this year, I think, right?
Yeah.
So it's
yeah, it busts through that budget entirely. The only other thing that was put on the table, in fairness and full disclosure, and for anybody listening in, was sale of town land to account for this. And quite frankly, we didn't think that was the right move either. Given the other projects that are going on with the town, the senior center, other things that could use that money in probably a more productive way. So we came to we really tried to consider all the options. We still think this is the best one, the most responsible one, in consideration of other projects going around the town. The modulars need to be replaced. Everybody's seen the pictures. Anybody who has done a walkthrough, as I have, and as people on the select board have as well, the work's got to get done. So we've just got to push it in the right way.
Yeah. Okay. No, when you say everybody's seen the pictures, I feel like most of the people in town that attend town meeting probably have not. So I feel like we have to do a.
Oh, we're gonna have to do it again.
Start a campaign soon.
Oh, reinforcement and enforcement/reinforcement. I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments?
Jeff, just a quick one. So, all right, happy to hear the 3.5 because when I was reviewing it earlier, I felt like 3 was pushing it really close. Do we feel like we have good enough estimates for the groundwork, the ground prep work, and the landscaping after? That was my only concern as those adds up. And if we're removing the modulars from the little school, that's going to be fairly expensive once we rip those out to landscape and or pave and or do whatever. Do we think, Mike, the 3.5 will cover all of that at the end of the day?
We do. We think that there's enough kind of contingency buffer added in for what was not included, as well as the indirect soft costs that we're going to face with just management and bidding and everything that's going to be involved in the full project. But we're confident that the $3.5 million will cover that work. Yes.
And that number does cover the cost of the demo. I believe that the little school mods are built on. It's already paved, I believe. I'm sure there'll be something under there that we're going to have to address, but it's. I think we would just have extended area, and the area that's there now would just be extended.
Or yeah. As we all know, how tight the operational budget is, we don't want to be faced with having to make those decisions next year if we undercut what we need in the debt exclusion.
Right.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments?
Okay. I'll just add that part of this would be, I believe, Jeff or Tim, going to the select board and starting to present.
Yep.
I believe Ms. Galvin would also help to prepare a little bit of the impact. That'll be the first question a lot of people are going to ask would be, what does this number, what impact would it have on the taxpayer? And I believe that once we give her this number, she'll begin to work on that. I believe that will be ready for the August 3rd. I'm not sure if it will be, but I know they'll be working on it. So.
And I can be available for the August 3rd select board meeting as well. Right. So I'll be around and I will be available as needed. Can't do a ring and run on this.
Your hand is up, Ms. Linders. Is it still up from last time, or is that a new question?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, still up.
Okay. So if there's no other questions, that there is a recommended motion. Just make sure it's the updated what's in the packet currently.
I would read it out loud, but it's too long for me, and I'm driving too fast to, read. So, someone wants to do a motion.
I got it. Ready? I move that the school committee recommend that the select board consider a debt exclusion of $3.5 million for the purposes of replacing the modular units at the J. Turner Hood and E. Ethel Little schools with new units at the J. Turner Hood School, and for any and all costs related to this project based upon the received quote, option number 2, and that this be presented at the October town meeting and added to the ballot for the November state election.
No, I think you missed a word. You got to do it again. We have a motion. We have a motion. We have a second.
It's getting late out here, Jeff. Just saying.
It's yes, it is. Yeah, you're about after midnight. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion?
And who was the second? Just for the
Noel.
Noel, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Hearing none, we'll go to a roll vote. Jennifer.
Aye.
Julie.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Noel.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Approved 5-0. Well done on this. Obviously, the story isn't ending here, but there's a lot of work that goes into this, and I'm very appreciative of it. Okay, why don't we go into the evaluations again? I apologize for being semi-online and not being able to distribute, but I'm gonna go from some things I jotted down before I got in the car. that were taken from the write-up. We'll start off with the superintendent summative evaluation. So for those that are able, there is an attachment here which go through the goals. Again, I can't share, so these talk about last year's goals and this year's goals. A couple of things that I want to talk about as themes of these goals, especially starting off with goal 1. There's the student learning goal, and there's a lot that goes into these goals. But some of the themes that I keep coming back to is not just the level of communication, but the type of communication we receive from Dr. Daly, and quite frankly, how he proliferates this methodology down to all of the principals in all of the schools. Specifically, we get summaries of each school, and the numbers for each school broken down in a brilliant way. And really what this does is, it's, when in my parlance, it's what's called language of report. We get a sort of a non-emotional evaluation of how each school is doing and recommendations based on each school's numbers and the facts that come up from testing, whether it's iReady or MCAS or all of the above. And we sit and we interrogate everything that's presented, and each and every time, all of the principals, as well as the superintendent, as well as Mr. Colleen, when it comes to education, are on top of every element of this. And the amount of effort it goes through, not just to present it, but to gather all of these, all of the facts and figures that go into it, and then come up with recommendations that are all fact-based, is really a tribute to how our school system, how our North Reading school system is run. And to me, that's exactly what we should see. It's not a lot of I love talking about how we're doing things in emotionally constructive way. I think that's extremely valuable. But when it comes to actually looking at what we're going to recommend, everything has a fact-based basis for that recommendation. And to me, that is critically important, and that is a top-down initiative. The other thing I'll say, and I'm going to ramble on a few of these things because I sort of have them in front of me in note form, is that there's also the concept, and I very much believe in this, that process leads to positive outcome. Not always. I mean, it doesn't guarantee it, but it gives positive outcome the greatest opportunity for success. And there are a number of examples of this. And one of the goals here is being able to hire new administrators. Well, we've seen that in spades over the last 2 years, with basically the turnover of all but one of the principals. And the process, having gone through, sat on the committee myself, or one of the committees myself, the search committees, is incredible. I don't know of any other town, and I've seen this go on in many other towns. I don't know of any other town that goes through this level of process in order to come to the right decision for key administrators. And that's just outstanding. In fact, some of the conclusions are different than where you start, in terms of you look at these piles of resumes and say, wow, this person looks good, or that person looks good. And it really is through this detailed process that you come to maybe a different conclusion than just what you're looking at on paper. And I think that's great. That's exactly the way it should be. I think other organizations could take some lessons from how North Reading evaluates new personnel and makes decisions. One of the most expensive things you can do is hire someone and make a mistake in doing it. Every organization has seen that. Every organization has gone through that. The more you can minimize mistakes in hiring or issues in hiring, it's it has such a huge impact on the kids, on everything, if it's not done properly. And this process absolutely proves it. And I'll talk more about NRPS 2030 in a couple of minutes. But the other thing I'll bring up is really, we're focused so heavily on use of devices and AI, and we're just entering this. Believe me, I build tools, AI-based tools, or I help lead teams that build AI-based tools. I think others here do as well. Everything's changing so rapidly, and I'm just incredibly happy to see the policies that have been championed that we approved today, but that this discussion is really an active one. There are a lot of towns out there, there are a lot of organizations that are sticking their heads in the sand, and you just can't do it, even though many are. So, leading strategic discussions, leading in a responsible way how our school system addresses new technology is just fantastic, and I think it will only help our kids and our community. I'm going to stop there with goal number 1 just for a second. I have much more written, but again, I can't share any of that. That's just the things I have in notes briefly. And I don't know if others have seen the goals that are attached. Any other questions or comments or anything on relating to goal 1? Why don't I move on? I know it's late. So goal 2 is professional practice. A lot of this is continuation from the previous year, but a few things stand out. Not the least of which is the grants are going to become, everybody thinks and sees that grants are going to become increasingly difficult to get, certainly at the federal level, and in even passing into the state from federal level. And Dr. Daly and his team have done a great job. Hate crime prevention, diversification wasn't awarded, still it's something we're going after. Safe and supportive schools. I mean, we don't have an additional grant writer. If you add up the grants that we get based on the team that's doing it, as they're basically doing, basically doing it as their second job. To anybody who's out there listening to this, I've said it a number of times over the past bunch of years. This team doesn't just, it's an administrative team that brings in revenue. I want to pause on that for a second and say how many positions in the town and certainly in the schools actually are bringing in revenue. There's certainly some areas where you can say that, but when it comes to the grants that get both applied for and that we get, it's tremendous. The other thing is just changes within personnel. I mentioned it briefly with principals. That also goes for, we've seen a number of leadership positions that have changed, including the digital learning coordinator. That's really changed. We've changed the structure of, over the last 2 years, changed the structure of how our classes are presented. So semester-based learning. I mean, there's just so many things where we have had to make adjustments, some of which forced by budget, some of which is just because we're continuing to look at how we're becoming more efficient, and still all along the way we're still heading toward our goals with 2030. That can't be done unless you're doing a lot of things right, and that involves parents with the K through 12 action team. It involves tremendous communication. It's just amazing what we've been accomplishing, and yet, it's not like we've received any additional revenue at any point in time. Again, I have more written on this than I'm stating, but goal 2, I think, is been phenomenally achieved. And goal 3, without commenting on the previous slide or one of the slides that had a Back to the Future reference, I'm old, and that reference hits home. Really gets into 2030, and the goals of 2030. I think we all understand that the goals of 2030, as they've evolved from 2025, are also going to be heavily dependent on how much what are we going to get for revenue. I know the goals aren't fully written. I get the fact that the final versions are due out this summer, but I still find it amazing that we're making 5-year plans not knowing really with this amount of uncertainty in revenue. Look, my roadmaps for my products go out a few years, and we have a lot more certainty in our revenue base, and certainly there are assumptions that are made. I mean, this is working with municipal budgets is a whole different thing. And for anybody who thinks that you can make an analogy to a home budget or even a professional budget and superimpose that to municipal, you're dreaming. And a lot of this is also, I also want to thank Mr. Connolly and the work that you do. The plans that we make for 2030 involve everything, and again, it centers a lot around how we manage our budget in this town, and that is in no small part to the work you do, and certainly again that goes credit to the staff that Dr. Daly you've brought in. And I'll go finally over to goal 4, which is district improvement. We we talked a little bit about some of that earlier today in terms of how we're changing the schedules for the high school. We're also talking about how 9 through 12, how our high schools are actually designed with power block and MTSS. I just got to say that there's a lot more to say than I'm capable of saying while I'm sitting here driving. But the work that you can see happening and how the evolution of both middle and high school has gone on, even in the last few years, even since we have been on the school committee. Certainly, I've been on the school committee. It's changed tremendously, and all for the positive. And again, the last thing on here is supporting the budgetary process. We're looking to make sure we're fully staffed. That's going to be a challenge this year. It's going to be an ongoing challenge, and I know that we want interventionists and making sure we've got coaches and data to support the 2027 budget. I don't even question the fact that we're going to have the appropriate data to make sure we can make good decisions. And again, credit to this team for not having to force everyone to dig for the right answers when it comes to budgets. So anyway, that's my rambling synopsis of evaluation from the notes I took from what I've written, and I will again apologize for not being able to share out what's been written to the full team, but suffice it to say, I know these points are well appreciated by this board, and we very much appreciate, Dr. Daly, the work that you do. It's tireless, and it's just it's massively important to the town of North Reading and all the students in it. So thank you. Any questions or comments by anybody else? And Julie, I apologize for not sending this over to you again. I anticipated being a little bit more online and being able to send this to you, but I apologize for not having been able to do that.
Thank you. I think that I would like to look to you, Dr. Daly, the 2 points that were raised about staffing, and something that sure stood out to me at graduation, as which was beautiful. It really was, in the ways of honoring the students, is I looked around at the staff, and I know that that you have worked hard in providing consistent leadership and being able to try to recruit and diversify the staff in North Reading. And is there something that you wish that you had access to that would assist in that process? In being able to attract a more diverse pool of educators, support staff, principals in order to do that. So I know you're passionate about that work, and if there was an easy answer, you would have already done it. So I guess I'm kind of looking to you about, are there some opportunities whether that we can be thinking about collectively?
Yeah, thank you. I would say that funding, you saw in the goals there that the diversification grant was not funded this year. We didn't receive it last year either, but it wasn't even really available in the same way. And, just to clarify what we're talking about here, that we're still talking about hiring the best candidates. What we're talking about is increasing the pool, increasing the attractiveness of North Reading to candidates to come to North Reading, so that students can see themselves more in some of the leaders that they hire. And that's everything from, race, gender, ethnicity, everything to try to be more diverse. So it's still a part of our 2030 plan and our goal, and we're continuing to do the work. So they were very proud of us last year. And, our team that attended this involved principals and teachers and human resources, Morgan Soros and Sean Colleen and Kathy O'Connell and others that attended, more so than some of the groups that did receive the grant. So last year they gave us the opportunity to still participate, even though we didn't get the funding. And they said, you guys have done more than some of the groups that are in the group. So I think that speaks to this. And, in general, as I say, some of what Mr. Friedman spoke to, I'm humbled and appreciate the thoughts, but you're really, as you're naming things, I'm thinking of my team. I'm thinking, well, that's Michael and that's Sean, and that's even the hiring process. I think back to former superintendents, John Bernard and Kathy Willis brought that process in, and we've carried it through. We haven't had to use it as much as we have in the last couple of years, because we've now hired 3 new principals as they've retired and moved on to great things. But it is a thorough process, and I totally agree with you. It is such an important thing to do, and not every hire is going to work out. Sometimes they're meant to be short term, but our goal is to try to, everybody was invested in finding principals that are going to be here to grow with us for the next chapter. And I think you saw just the amount of work that's gone into the high school tonight through Dr. Meyer and Ms. Alonso's presentation. There's a lot of thought there, and a lot of things that have, we've been doing restorative practices for years. The laws required it for years, but to really have it all come together with the discipline process, that takes a lot of time and effort. And so we're hiring good people that are doing very good work, and I'm very proud of that. So
with any of these things, I've said it in many speeches and many times that I have 2 management principles. Surround yourself with people that are way better, way more talented, and way smarter than you.
Mm-hmm.
Remove obstacles from their path. And I can't think of a better example than the staff we have in North Reading, and that goes back up to you to some degree, even though you stand on their shoulders, but they stand on yours too. So, but look, we can always keep doing better. And I remember back to when I ran for office, I was asked about diversity in staff, and I will answer the question. I will answer your question in the same way that I answered it my way. It's supply demand. Let's make our school system the most attractive place on the planet, and let's have candidates come in and want to work here. And I think we've been doing it. We can always do better, but I think to some degree that's the principle. Anyways, I didn't mean to answer your question. Any other questions, thoughts? Okay, why don't we move on to, again, there's the school committee evaluation. Once again, apologize that I can't share anything out. I can't present right now. I've got it saved out. Look, I think we do a good job generally. I'll summarize the sections. I think the thing I'm most proud of in terms of I'm always proud of the work we do, but I think the area where I've seen the most change is actually, and maybe others don't agree, but actually our community outreach piece. And the reason why I say that is I see more than almost any year I've been on, not just a desire to reach out to the public, but our ability to do so. Some of it's social media. Some of it's the work we're going to have to do, what we just talked about, and saying, hey, we've got to have a campaign to replace the modular units. That means we're going to have to, part of it is presenting it at select board, but it's going to be much more than that. If we're going to consider doing an override, it's going to be much more than that. And everybody's willingness to jump in and say, yeah, let's get this done. And Julie's work with participating in the night out and jumping all over that, phenomenal. Town Day, we're going to have a booth at Town Day for something we talked about a little while ago. We want to do a monthly office hours that we're trying to make happen. I think our ability in the past to do community outreach was more friends and family, and I think it's evolved way past that. And so to me, if I had to pick an area of growth with this board, I would say that's likely our biggest area. I think we've done also a much better job, and all credit to Jennifer in bringing in state representative as well as state senators, and making sure we have a connection to the larger political community. I think that's phenomenal. And in previous years, every year we had that as a goal, and every year we would fall short on that. And I think it's great that we are moving forward in that area. Again, we can always do better. I think if we had a weakness really in our goals generally, again, I want to maybe, we did a good job last year of cutting down our goals. I think even trying to do more and making them measurable in terms of how we would judge ourselves. I think that we can certainly talk about that in the next meeting where we talk about future goals. And again, I will share all of this out. If I had to pick an area of improvement, I think it's actually in how we design our goals. But I also think we put a more concerted effort in meeting our goals, whether it was participating in our subcommittees, pushing those agendas forward, whether it's making sure our school resources have what they need in terms of budgetary awareness. All these things were areas where we put in as goals. I think we did a good job. And I think in part it's because we're not overreaching. One of the things you look for in corporate goals is you reach for these stretch goals, and there are lots of acronyms for them. That's all great, but to me, with more of on the municipal side and schools, again, it's great to stretch yourself, but I think it's making sure we have things that we are actually going to try and accomplish, and that we have goals that last a year. Let's try and meet those goals, and I think we did a very good job of honing in on things that we can actually achieve, and then actually going forward and doing them. So again, I'll use that as a summary, and when I get back online, I will share all of this out. And I know it's getting super late. It's probably 1 a.m. for Tim. Any questions, comments? And again, it's probably the 8th time I said it. My apologies for not being able to share out at the moment. I'm actually parking in a rest stop at the moment. Okay. Hearing nothing else, there isn't anything to approve. Those are just presentations and discussions. I will share all of that out. Hearing nothing else, why don't we move on to routine matters? We've got some minutes to approve. The minutes of, I don't want to cut anybody off. Anybody, anything?
I can do minutes when you're ready.
Yeah, go for it. Why don't we start off with May 11th, 2026?
Okay. Move to approve the meeting minutes for the May 11th, 2026 open meeting as written.
Second.
Okay.
We have either Tim or Julie on that one. So whoever wants to take
Julie can have it.
All right. So we have a motion. We have a second. We'll do a roll vote. So Jennifer. You're on mute.
Aye.
There you go. Thank you. Julie.
Yes.
Tim.
Aye.
Noel.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Approved 5-0. May 18th, 2026.
Move to approve the meeting minutes from the open meeting on May 18th, 2026 as written.
Excellent. Second, do we have a second?
I'll second. Julie.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll vote. Jennifer?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Noel?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Approved 5-0. June 1st, 2026.
Okay, move to approve the meeting minutes from the June 1st, 2026 open meeting as written.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll vote. Jennifer?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Noel?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Approved 5-0. June 15th, 2026.
Okay, move to approve the meeting minutes from the June 15th, 2026 open meeting as written.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those, not all those. We'll move to a roll vote. Jennifer?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Noel?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Approved 5-0. Thank you for the minutes. There is no budget update at this time, no staffing update at this time, bids and donation, nothing at this time, grants, none at this time, overnight trip requests, none at this time, social media. I don't know if we have any thoughts, not that we have to decide it right now, as to what we want to put on social media. Might not be a bad idea to talk about restrictions for the future use of charging. I think that might be a good thing to do, and or some of the policy work that was written in here. But those are just suggestions.
I can work on some one-pagers with some of those updates too.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that would be good, and I would prefer with this one, just with the number of changes in both the handbook and policy, that we follow email from the administration rather than the other way around. I think it's a better look if we follow Dr. Daly's lead. So as soon as we're ready, Dr. Daly, we can get that out there.
Sounds good. Just while we're talking about it, I mean, part of me thinks like, don't do it right now. Wait till we're gearing up towards the start of school when people are paying attention a little more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So this will be part of the welcome back process that we'll start sharing. So.
One
Excellent.
thing I was listening to as we were talking about the Hood project that might come up has to do with talking about how regaining the space at the little school can be a win. So if there's a way to sell outdoor seating space or checkers or whatever, something that's kind of low key, but there would be additional space since they are
Additional space that could be used in the future. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Something to look at.
They are so kind of locked in with the baseball, the softball diamonds, and then parking. So I think that may be a way to gain some votes. Thinking about that. So it doesn't need to be included anywhere, but as we're starting the rollout, that might.
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought about that as part of messaging. That's sort of a bonus win. Yeah, I mean, it's not that we have to take action on it, but it's to say that there's the potential. We're unlocking potential in the land. That's great.
Good point.
Yep. Anything again that we're just finished social media subcommittee updates. So I attended the last finance planning team. I was there for about an hour. A lot of the discussion was around use of town land for potential senior center. We did bring up the modular replacements. That's what we were talking about. Timing for the potential construction project for and putting on the town ballot the debt exclusion for the modular replacement work. I missed the last hour or however long it ended up going. I don't know, Dr. Daly, if there was something or Tim, whether there was something else. I'm not sure who else was on there. It feels like forever ago, but it was actually only 10 days ago.
Yeah, we did talk a good bit about the Hood project and what we did tonight.
That makes sense. Okay. The subcommittee schedule. So we've got another finance planning team meeting on July 31st. I fully plan on being there. I don't see anything on the administrative report. For correspondence, we've already handled the CPAC piece, but there's one other piece that's not on here, but I wanted to bring up. It's sort of quasi correspondence, and I'll explain that. There are some letters that appear to be anonymous letters that were addressed to me. Tim, there's one for you, and there's another one for the school committee generally. My apologies, I have not been physically around over the last few weeks. I guess summer's been good to me. I don't feel comfortable entering something into the record that we have, especially something something like a physical letter that was sent seemingly anonymously. I don't feel comfortable entering into the record until we've actually seen it. So I will do that next week, and I will pick that up and happy to share it with this team. Tim, there's one out there for you. And I'm not sure when you get back, but you can take a look at it as well.
So I'm sorry, you mean a physical letter? Like
snail mail, man.
Okay. So like at my house or at the administration?
They're in my office. You're welcome to stop in for that. And Mr. Friedman said he would receive the one for the committee. Yep. I will state just to be clear that my assumption is that these are similar to some letters that I received, Dr. Meyer received, and we have been able to read and address them. There were some emails sent that were similar. Without having opened them, I don't know that they're the same, but I think that's what this is probably related to.
And I don't want to make it sound like something ominous. I don't.
Right, that's what
anything.
I'm trying to clarify.
There's nothing nefarious about any of this. I just, not having opened it, not having seen it, I don't want to enter something into the record until we've just done our due diligence on it. That's all.
Right. So we can speak to it possibly in the future.
Exactly.
But it is something that the committee was written to. They're marked confidential. So obviously we didn't open them, but I have a good reason to believe it's a topic that we've been shared some emails with, and then some other pieces. And the only thing I had no administrative report. I just wanted to mention, and I've said it to some of you individually. I do want to talk in August and beginning to talk more about the federal scholarship tax credit and sharing more about that to get us all thinking about it. I think it's important for the district to begin thinking about it and to thinking about how we get in touch with our booster organizations and to think about what this could look like. There's still a possibility. I saw MTA actually came out today very much against Massachusetts opting into this, which is my understanding is that the governor still can make a decision in January whether Massachusetts participates or not. But whether Massachusetts participates or not, the credit will still be out there and the money could be diverted to other states. So there's going to be a lot of discussion in the next few months that will sort of heat up. But if it does go into effect, we're going to have a very short window to try to pull something together. So I just want to mention it tonight.
Yep.
I think we could do a little bit more of an update. I'm going to be attending a webinar on July 22nd from the National Association of Superintendents. It's really going to dig into this a little bit more. But I just wanted to put it out there on the public record and with you that we are aware of this and we are investigating it as a district.
Appreciate it. Obviously, if this comes to fruition, we will have to work through it.
And it's essentially a way for taxpayers to have a tax credit of $1,700 if they give that funding to certain organizations. And our goal obviously would be for it to go to public schools and even better, North Reading public schools.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I've seen the headlines on it. I haven't dug into. I will freely and fully admit I have not read into it enough to speak cogently on the topic. I guess that's my cue that I need to actually start digging into it. Okay. Future business. I don't know that we have any.
the next meeting, August 31st. Yep.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking under executive session. Yeah, so we have August 31st as our next meeting, and then September 14th after that. So we're still planning on doing executive session tonight, I think.
We would do a brief executive session, and if someone just would make a motion to go into executive session and not return to open session.
Yep.
I don't want to miss this opportunity for the August 31st meeting. I would like to talk about a free professional development opportunity about Macy grants for students and also about dual enrollment. So I just want to make sure
Could we, Julie, could you and I talk before that? Because I sort of want to get a preview if you don't mind. And then maybe we have a session with Dr. Daly before we do it. So we are all sort of on the same page before we go into it. That'd be all right.
I'm happy to send out the documents. I already have them to everyone. Happy to share them.
Okay. Well,
I didn't know that I needed to submit them last Wednesday to have them on this agenda, or I would.
No, all good.
So no big deal.
No,
yeah,
but if possible, it would be good not just to have documentation, but maybe a discussion between the three of us, just so we could preview what we're going to do, just to make sure we're all in alignment, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think the difference between sharing the resource, but also that the decisions that would actually be made based on those some of it would fall to high school. So I'm just curious a little bit about if we're going to introduce it at a school committee meeting, what role the high school leadership plays in that meeting. So I just want to think it through. So, as a sharing of a resource, that's fine. But I think if it's a topic that there's an expectation that something happen, I just want to think through like what the process is involving the high school.
Sure. Sounds great. Well, let's put our heads together.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine facilitating that discussion, and coming up with a date that works for all three of us.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
I'm going to move
Yeah, go
that
for it.
we go to executive session.
Also that we close out of this.
Yes, and that we
And not return to open session.
Yeah, not return. I believe what she said is what we said. And oh, look, a furry creature. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, let's do a roll vote. Jennifer?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Noel?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. How do we want to exit this and go into the other, or do we just expel everybody else?
So I'll be concluding this session. You have an email with the link for the executive session. So.
Okay, thanks.